Hello, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else in between. This is the one, the only, can be imitated, been imitated many times before, but never duplicated. Broke Boy Sports Podcast. I'm Ashton Gene Lewis, along with my co-host Martin Pape. What up, Martin?
Hello, hello. How's it going over there, Ashton?
You know, Houston's a little weird, man. It's still hot as hell out here, but a slight reprieve from the struggles of a shitty pickup basketball player like myself. My neighbor has a basketball hoop in his backyard now,
Uh-huh.
and he told me yesterday. He's like, "Hey, make sure you get some shots up, bro.
Nice.
Real ones, real friends. How many of us?" In the immortal words of Kanye West.
Well, shout
Martin, we're
out to
back
every.
here for.
Or I was
Yeah,
gonna
go
say,
ahead.
if everybody who's tuned in, watching on YouTube and Twitch, you're watching me edit these boxes live. As we've got a third box joining us this week. Normally it's a guest. This week it's fantasy football. Ashton's got a draft while we're recording today on August, or not August, it's September now, Ashton. September 3rd. Kickoff for the NFL season's right around the corner. So we're getting excited. Shout out to everybody watching and subscribing. We're available on, what is it? Apple Podcasts now, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts. I mean, we're here. We're here.
We're everywhere.
It's
We
another
everywhere.
week.
We out
Uh,
here.
it's we're ready to go. I mean, we've also got a little fantasy league of our own going that we're gonna try and get a couple of listeners in as well. So it's almost like we're back to normal, Ashton, but still there's some shit things going on in the world right now. I think you can agree on.
Life as always loves to persist and it loves to kick the shit out of people. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. But I will break down what's going on in that third box over there on the right hand side. As you guys can see, if you are watching on Twitch TV, you can look up Broke Boy Sports and follow us there. If you follow me on Twitter at FB_playbook, throughout the course of the show, I tweet out the link so you can listen live and watch us live on Twitch if you so choose to do so. And Martin is kind enough to use some high level, highfalutin technology to show you one of the most boring things about the entire fantasy football process. As we all know, it's the difficult process of breaking down who you can possibly get on your team. And I'll let you know, this league that I'm in right now, they are. I have an advantage on my side, Martin. They're all at a bar right now, which means they've been drinking for like hours, and most of them don't know anything about football. A couple of them do, and most of them don't know anything about football. So
Okay.
plus
Okay.
alcohol probably not going to help them.
Well,
I
here's
have
the
that.
thing. If any of them are possibly watching, they can see who you've got in your queue. That's all. I'm just.
Yeah, they're looking at. They can see my tight end queue, which is cool because I actually, Martin, before the show started, I told you about how I actually don't value tight ends because there's only two legitimate ones in the NFL that are like you can consistently bank on to dominate, and it is of course George Kittle who signed for that big money in the offseason, and Travis Kelce who
Mhm.
flexed on people yesterday or 2 days ago when the Kansas City Chiefs had their Super Bowl ring ceremony in the empty Arrowhead Stadium and got their rings, and he wore all Dior plus the Christian Dior Air Jordan ones that everybody so highly coveted. By the way, don't forget those. Somebody found like $50,000 worth of fake Christian Dior Jordans in Dallas.
Damn.
So if you don't get your Christian Dior's, you know why.
And
Which
so
is
before we get into what's popping,
I
Ashton.
was gonna. Okay, hold on a sec. I got to finish explaining the other
Oh,
thing
go
about
for
this
it.
league. This league is comprised about. This league is not about winning. This league is about not coming in last.
Okay.
And the reason I say that, Martin, is because this is a punishment league that I'm drafting in.
Mhm.
And every year you select your keepers and then you put in a punishment that you would like inserted into a hat. And then you play out the season. Towards the end, you're in a playoff game. You either win or lose. And when you get into the playoffs, if you get to the very last game of the season, like if you get into the game for last place in the league, it is called the Clown Bowl. The Clown Bowl is a play for who has to do three punishments instead of if you win the Clown Bowl, you only have to do one. If you lose, you have to do three punishments. And I will let you know, my punishment this year was you have to recreate three iconic NFL photos that the league votes on. Some
Okay.
other ones are not so fun. Like there's one where you have to wear the same outfit for 2 weeks in a row.
Okay.
There was another year where a friend of mine had to post Johnny Manziel positive messages after every single game that he played, no matter
Nice.
what, like cheering him on. Even if he was sitting on the bench, she had to tweet out. She had to actually post on Facebook her support for Johnny Manziel, no matter what, and could not give any context. Couldn't tell anybody that she was doing it because of a punishment in the league. There's been
Interesting.
had to wear a diaper down the Vegas Strip, which happened to a guy who
What?
actually won. Yeah, straight up, it actually happened. He was pretty drunk when he did it, but he still did it
Wow.
anyway. Yeah, it's they run the gambit. Cutthroat Kitchen, which is apparently a crowd favorite of one guy in the league, but it's basically you have to cook a meal without using utensils.
Well, what? But all right. Well,
You want to know what the secret is?
I would. Yeah, go for it, because I can't even think of like what a
You
microwave
throw a
is. That?
steak up, you pick up a steak with your bare hand and put it on a grill.
Oh, well, isn't the grill part of, or wouldn't a
Grill is
grill be
not a
the?
utensil. No.
Okay.
That's the secret to Cutthroat Kitchen, ladies and gentlemen. Buying steak and then putting it on a grill if you have one. Anyway, Martin, go ahead. You're gonna say something before we got started.
Oh, I just
what's
wanted
popping in
for the people that are watching, and you may have noticed it. It's this league. The name of the league's interesting. The name. I just realized the
man.
entire time we have this up, the I don't even
So-
know if you can say that on Twitch.
Yeah, so that ain't me.
That's what they all say.
That ain't me. This ain't my league. Yeah, this ain't my league, dog. This is somebody else's league. So anyway, that's what he has as the name of the league. I actually put that in the chat. I actually put that in the chat. Anyway, but yeah, Martin, is that all you had to say?
Yeah, that was the last
Martin,
thing I wanted.
Hit him with the promo for our
Oh
sponsor, bro. I
yeah,
almost
let's.
forgot.
Cause since it is football season and fantasy is on the minds of everybody, Ashton's in a normal fantasy league, but if you're into prop bets and other bets of that nature, you know, like who's going to score more touchdowns, how many touchdowns or rushing yards or receiving yards, total yards. Like if you look at Ashton's squad, he's got Ezekiel Elliott as one of his keepers. Week 1, possibly Ezekiel Elliott. Do you think Ezekiel Elliott's going to have 111.5 total yards? So that's rushing and receiving. You can either go over or under, bet on that. You get a couple of, I think you get about 6 picks. You also get ice picks. Once you put $20 down, download it, use the code BROKEBOY, and then put $20 on it. You'll get $20 back. So you'd be able to jump straight into a $40 entry if you wanted to, or you could split it down, play one of the lesser ones so you don't run out of, or hopefully win. But if you do, there's a couple of ones, especially on NFL Thursday, the Chiefs versus the Texans, the first football game of the season in the NFL. A $25 entry, $2,500 going to first. Then on NFL Kickoff Sunday, I believe they're calling it, or whatever they call it, $25 entry again, $5,500 going to first. And then if you like watching NFL Red Zone and you only care about the touchdowns, you don't want to worry about how many yards Zeke or Deshaun Watson gets. You can do touchdowns only on the first Sunday of the season. $20 entry, $2,500 the first. Hashtag prop up. Download their iFantasy. Use code BROKEBOY when you put $20 down. You get $20 right back.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Use that promo code. Take their money, please. Also, you know, one day we'll start doing picks on this show. By the way, Mark, we need to have a conversation about if we're going to start doing more podcasts in the football season or not.
So here's the thing. I started doing a podcast for my league last year, and somebody that listens to the show asked me if we could bring that over to here. I said probably not, but I'm just letting you know that they are going to be listening, so I can't give out too much. I can't give out too much of my tidbits. You know what I'm saying? Because
oh my god.
Yeah, it's all in good fun, but you know, it is what it is. They probably already know who I've got my eye on, Clyde Hilaire. But you know.
Oh, y'all buying that rookie hype? See, that's y'all problem,
bro.
man. Y'all believe in a rookie.
I'm all in. I am all in on Clyde. Like that is, I got picked 10 in my league, in a 12-team league, and I'm worried that he's not going to be there at pick 10. So
yeah, by the way, I'm picking in this league that you're seeing on the screen. I'm picking 9th, and it starts in 21 minutes, 22 minutes.
So I'm excited. Yeah, we're definitely, if we want to get our Twitch thing going, we're gonna have to do a couple more podcasts. So brainstorming here, yeah, I would love to do like a football slash fantasy football only thing, but that's
Yeah, I'm here to talk about football.
oh
You
yeah.
know,
I
uh,
mean, I'm just here so I
that's
don't get fined. I mean, that's my mindset. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, preach, preach. Anyway, we move on to the actual show here. I know that's what you guys came here for. High level entertainment that we always provide, no matter what, right? So, Martin, what's popping in quarantine, man? You want me to go
Uh,
first? Or you want to go first?
well, I was hoping you go first because it kind of what you want to talk about this week and what's popping leads in I mean, not really, but the theme of what you're going to talk about leads into a theme of what I'm going to talk about. So why don't you go first? Because I think at least, I mean, everybody in this name deserves mentioning, but yeah, I'll let you take it away.
So, what's popping in quarantine? Yeah, I'm the negative guy on the team again, guy. I'm the negative guy on the podcast. Death is popping in quarantine, dog. So top to bottom, sorry, you guys can't see what's going on here because of the way the screen is set up. But yeah, death is what's popping in quarantine. John Thompson passed away. Kobe Bryant has passed away this year as well. Breonna Taylor murdered by cops during a raid into her house where they were identifying the wrong person. Also, apparently, rumor has it, they offered her boyfriend a plea deal, and it was like 10 years in jail. Her ex, I think it was her ex-boyfriend, the guy who actually got arrested for being a drug dealer, not her current boyfriend, the one who shot back at the cops. They offered him a plea deal where he could, if he said that Breonna Taylor was involved in his organization in some way, shape, or form, he'd have a better chance at probation instead of the 10 years that he was looking at, and he refused to do that. So I saw that in multiple places and waiting to see if that's ever going to be confirmed. That's interesting. But Breonna Taylor, Chadwick Boseman, and John Lewis, an American hero, John Lewis, who fought for freedom. Chadwick Boseman, who portrayed so many legendary African black people, important so much in the history of not only just black people but of this country. Thurgood Marshall, pivotal man in the history of this country. And of course, James Brown, pivotal, like, life-changing musician in the history of the world, and his impact on music all over the place, huge. And like Frosty Nuggs said, Wakanda forever, which is actually the name of this episode. Chadwick Boseman and his legendary performance for Black Panther, the first ever mainstream black character in comic books, who I know for a lot of you guys, some people who listen to sports podcasts, vast majority of our audience doesn't seem like they're black or anything like that. Who knows? It could be. If it is, shout out to anybody who listens to the show. But for a lot of people who are not black, they just don't understand or grasp the concept of the importance of Black Panther in terms of what he meant to so many people, including for in particular a group of people who just so happen to be black and gigantic comic book fans. There's specifically a terminology for blurs, and if you know anything about the geek
Wait,
culture,
what? Is
blurs,
that's an actual word? Or like that's
yeah, blurs, black nerds. And the
what?
sad part is that has to exist because geek culture has, I mean, racism is everywhere, dog.
Oh, for
Geek
sure.
culture has made its point. Geek culture at many times has made an effort to exclude people of color and black people in general. And you can tell now by the way that, like, Marvel has gone about what they've been doing in terms of, like, mixing up the roster. Like, for those of you who don't keep up with the modern day comics, there is a cartoon coming down the pike for Disney Plus where they cover the other Iron Man, who is Riri Williams. She's a genius teenage black girl who builds her own Iron Man armor and is like Iron Man's the Batman, and her version of Iron Man is called Iron Heart, and she builds her own suit because she's like that level of genius, like the Tony Stark level of genius it takes to be able to do that kind of stuff. And it is her and her adventures doing that. You recently saw the rise of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where Miles Morales, who is, I think it's Puerto Rican, I always think it's Dominican for some reason, but he is black at the heart of it all. And you saw how many people reacted to that, of all races and creeds, right? It's the best Spider-Man we've probably seen in a decade. No shade to any of the guys who portrayed Spider-Man recently in terms of Garfield. I thought Garfield did a really good job. That's just me though. But there is another into the Spider. There's another Spider-Man coming with Miles Morales being the featured character, and his growing into being a superhero. Blue Beetle in the current comic book run is a kid who is from Mexico. He is Mexican, and to the heart of it all, he is in the Justice League in the DC universe, and a big part of Young Justice, which is guy. You talk about now, and Martin, I don't know if you saw this or not. Big things in geek culture. Static Shock is coming back.
No, I didn't see that at all.
Static Shock is coming back. Blue Beetle has always been. See, okay, Frosty Nugs. The original Blue Beetle, the way it was presented to me, was always a white guy, because the Beetle changes from person to person. So like, hit me up and let me know, dude. Frosty Nugs in the chat on Twitch, hitting us with Blue Beetle's always been Mexican. I will say for this generation of us, he has always been Mexican. I will say the original Blue Beetle, I think, was white, bro.
What I want to say about always a non okay, so it's been a person of color. What I want to say about Chadwick Boseman is one, everything I saw him in, he absolutely owned the character. Like, almost became like, when you see an actor and you automatically think of him as the character and not him as the person, and like some actors hate that. He played all of his characters so well. When I see him, I think Jackie Robinson, I think the Black Panther. Those are the two that come to me immediately. And honestly, Black Panther is probably my favorite Marvel movie of the entire fucking Marvel universe. I mean, yeah, the last one was pretty epic with what it did, but like just the story of Wakanda, the whole like everything about that shit, I fucking loved. And like, I actually went live when he died. I went live, and like normally I'll sit around when I go live on Twitch. I'll sit around for like 10, 15 minutes. I went live, went to get a drink, and looked at my phone, and that's when I saw the tweets coming down about it. And like, I literally just stood in my kitchen for I don't know how long, just like, damn. And like, it wasn't to the effect of Kobe, because like I'll never forget where I was and everything when Kobe died, but like with Chadwick, I like, god damn. And then you read the fucking story that he battled and did battle cancer for what, 4.5 years?
Yeah, man. In the peak
Battled
of his
that.
career. And
Yes.
what seemed to be for us now, it is the peak of his career because his story is sadly ended, right?
Yeah.
We had a brief moment with him, and he gave us so much in that small amount of time. By the way, I ain't never seen a 43-year-old that looked like that, Martin. And I'm black. I was shocked when they said that he was 43. I was like, are you sure? Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, like you said, man, like you talk about in his short period of time that we were lucky enough to witness his performances, man, the peak of his career, right? Like he literally was a superhero to people, to kids everywhere, right? And then portrayed Thurgood Marshall, portrayed James Brown, two iconic people on the face of this planet. And then of course Jackie Robinson, a guy in our world, right, Martin, that changed the game forever, because Jackie Robinson went into one of the and still is, and you can tell by based off of what happened last week in the reaction to this week, he went into a sport that is highly conservative and refused to change. It was to the point where they were actually detrimental to themselves at one point because they refused to let black people play, right? Like that was the same thing that happened with football, same thing that happened with basketball, same thing that happens with every sport, right? Like that's how entrenched the racism was. There was so much racism in the sport that they were actually detrimental to themselves. And Chadwick Boseman got to feel and really embraced the way that story was being told, man. And of course he did his research. He was of course a massive understander of like he could understand somebody else's heart, that a person that he never met. And it was wild to see him do that, especially in the same span of time. I heard on Higher Learning, which is a really good podcast with Van Lathan and Rachel Lindsay, who is a former Bachelorette. She's not married to the guy that she won.
Did they ever stay married? I want to know the success rate of staying married.
The first one ever, they're still together.
Okay.
She's not married to the guy that she won the show with, but they talk about the science of like what it's like to be locked up with like just people with no ability to watch TV, no ability to be on a phone or anything like that. And it's an interesting case study and understanding of human beings, so it puts them in a bad position. Yeah. Anyway,
also spoiler alert for a really quick tangent. Spoiler alert. Most of those shows are shot in 30 days straight. Like they don't take their time and do this and this. It's literally like day 1, day 2, day 3. Like it's crazy to as a producer to know the format of what reality TV shows go through, and then what they put. Like they make it seem like it's been months that these people have spent together. It's less than 30. It's wild. Like how do you fall in love with someone less than 30 days? Like you know.
Isolation and being told like almost putting her or him out there like they're the prize to win, right? Like you want to
Yeah.
win. Most of these people are highly successful. What comes with being successful, a level of competition, right? And even if it's a person falling in love with them, you just want to beat everybody else, right? That's the thing. The thing I was going to point out, Rachel Lindsay's a host of that show, and she was actually the first black woman to ever be the Bachelorette. They mentioned and cracked the joke of like, yo, I heard that they were doing a Maya Angelou biopic, and I just assumed that Chadwick Boseman was going to play Maya Angelou.
Hmm.
So, like, that's the level of respect that got garnered. And, we can sit here and talk about Chadwick Boseman until we're blue in the face and what he did for for the comic book world and for black people who enjoy comics and enjoy superheroes, contrary to a lot of people's belief. John Thompson and what he did as the head coach at Georgetown. The big thing on Twitter was like, I thought Georgetown was an HBCU. I definitely fell in that category as a kid. I cannot lie. So
it's a borderline HBCU.
yeah, sure. Yeah, not anymore, guys. I don't know if you guys know that or not. It's not HBCU now. Kobe Bryant, talk about his legacy. Breonna Taylor, Chadwick Boseman, and the countless number of people that we have lost to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Shit sucks, man.
Death is what's popping in quarantine.
Yeah,
and then, of course, going back to what you actually had this earlier in quarantine, Martin, when you lost your friend.
Yeah.
So that's what inspired this one. I was just like, it's all over the place, man.
It's wild. Like this year has been wild, and like it's been a wild year, and like Kobe's death was like the first of the dominoes falling, and it's just like there's one thing after another in 2020, but transitioning, keeping it.
Oh wait, sorry. Can I point out?
Oh, go
can
for
I say
it.
one thing?
Go for it.
So, Frosty Nugs, in response to your comments in the Twitch stream, man. So my friend and I, even though, it's hard to even talk about like what Marvel's talking about right now, right? Like they got to find a way to move on from this. And I don't even know if they knew. Like I don't even know if they knew, right? So the two prevailing theories, and if you read comics, you know what happened. If you read the Black Panther comics, you know that Shuri becomes the Black Panther at one point. And you also know the other possibility is they're opening up the multiverse, right? They already did that with the Endgame situation. The other thing that can happen is, and this is a reach, Martin, so stay here with me. Don't dislocate your shoulders or anything. There's a universe out there where Killmonger is the hero, right? And Black Panther is the villain.
Mm-hmm.
That Killmonger comes into this main universe that we are watching, right? And Michael B. Jordan becomes Black Panther. So
yeah, I mean
that's a theory that he had, but I think the whole Shuri becoming Black Panther would be sick.
Yeah, I think both of those theories would actually work out because we know Michael B. Jordan. I mean, his character for me is one of those like you could connect with bad guys.
Yes. It was like him and Thanos were like the two most relatable villains in the most modern Marvel. I'm trying to think about because honestly, for as bad as Iron Man 2 was, you can understand why that guy did that. It was literally like Tony Stark killed his dad. But the most relatable villains easily Killmonger, because what he was talking about is he's just like black people are literally oppressed all over the world. He's like, and like it turns out that like black people just so happen to be, controlling the most valuable resource and have built a world that is far beyond the advancements of the world that we live in right now. Mm-hmm. And you refuse to share that greatness with black people. They don't even have to be in Wakanda for it to mean anything. They just need to know that they're capable of that greatness. And that was a huge part about the end of Black Panther, where he goes to Oakland, which is a shout out to Ryan Coogler, who is a USC graduate, the black man who directed Black Panther, right? And he presents like the super quiet jet that they have with the holographic like with the camouflage on it, right? And those kids instantaneously are inspired, and then it goes into All the Stars by SZA. So like stuff like that.
Yeah. See, I think uh, if no matter what they do, I really hope there's some sort of scene because when he goes and sees like basically to that I'm gonna call it the Lion King scene when it's
Oh yeah, when
purple and he sees the
he goes
trees.
into he goes into the
Yeah,
spirit realm,
I've
which by the way is a nod to the fact that vibranium is connected to the
yeah
spirit infinity stone. Anyway, go ahead.
I really hope like it once they decide what to do with it. I really hope we get to see him like almost like a holographic of Chadwick in the tree or like something,
Right,
like
like when Shuri completes the trial of the Black Panther,
yes,
which by the way is the one of the best arcs in all of Black Panther, because when T'Challa does it, he has to beat his dad, I think, at the end to become the Black Panther, but his dad dies.
don't lay a Skywalker in. Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, that was rough. That was rough. It really was, man. Especially like the part when they reveal that she's actually force sensitive too, which actually, if you think about it, makes sense. Anyway, I'm not talking about Star Wars right now, but nah, that would be pretty dope because she has to complete the trial of the Black Panther, and it would make sense that people would challenge Shuri, and she would have to beat someone, and it would be a point where she could establish her power, right? Because when T'Challa stood up to all the tribes in Wakanda, none of them challenged um except M'Baku, right?
Yeah.
And that happened, and it was dramatic because he beat the shit out of M'Baku. But I feel like M'Baku would definitely look at Shuri as an opportunity to take the throne, right?
Yeah.
And because she's a girl and she's like the nerd or whatever, so it would be interesting. It'd be a really good play to show her abilities and skills that she's been
Yeah.
developing that nobody knew about. But yeah, Frosty Nugs, I did not know that Michael B. Jordan had to go to therapy for playing Killmonger, because that's a radical by the way, like that perspective that Killmonger had, um that's not like made up. That's rooted in a lot of black radicals that have existed in America after when black people were fighting for their fighting to break out of like the Jim Crow era, and even to this day that's like a real thing for a lot of black people, where they have this theory of like we go back to Africa and then we wage war on like the European world. That's like a real thing. Yeah. Anyway, death. That's
So
what's popping in quarantine.
so Ashton's talking about real death. I'm talking about a different type of death. Um, Madden, as we know it, has officially died. This past week was the official release day for um, EA Sports Madden 21. And instant, like I got it a week in advance, and we briefly mentioned it last week. It's
I
bad.
told people that you refuse to
It's bad. I
talk
don't.
about it.
I've already uninstalled it. Like it is. It's terrible. And I'm glad other people. It's taken almost 10 years now for people to realize that it's literally just a roster update. And the hashtag NFL drop EA. There's been two of them that I've seen: NFL drop EA and NFL drops EA. I don't know where the drops come from because it hasn't happened yet. So I'm going
It's
with
definitely just like somebody told, like it's definitely just the typos.
yeah. That's I think so. But anyway, so the hashtag went viral instantly. Like people downloaded the game, played it, and realized, holy shit, we've been duped by EA again. And excuse me, got the hiccups here real quick. Um,
And
so
I'm sorry, go ahead, Martin. I was gonna jump in there and say, pretty much every major Twitter account for gaming has like some glitch that's been shown in the game, and
oh
it's
yeah,
not like none of them are repeating each other.
yeah, it's just bad, and it's so bad. It is the worst Metacritic score of. It has the worst Metacritic score of all time. When Metacritic, for people that don't know, it basically takes like professional reviewers and then casual people that leave reviews, and then you get two scores. The Metacritic for the professionals, obviously they've gotten paid off by EA. It's a little bit higher.
They get the
The
game for free, and they don't want to fuck up getting the game for free to get that extra
exactly
boosting content.
the reviewers from Casual Gamers is the worst reviewed game of all time.
Yeah, in Madden history, right?
No, 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 not Madden history. Video game history.
Oh, that makes sense.
It is the worst. Like, I can't say it enough. It is the worst rated game by the casual gamer ever. And so it is sad to see this what I consider one of the greatest franchises in video gaming, at least in my lifetime. Like, I mean, I there was times that I would take Madden Day off of school and figure out a reason to fucking tell my parents that I don't feel well, and it just so happens that Madden came out. Like that is 100% truthful, and I know I'm not the only one because there used to be like the hashtag. Like, what happened to Madden Day? The hashtag. You don't see any of that shit anymore because the game has actually died, and it's died because in the past, I mean, obviously, 2K. It's been a while since EA got sole possession or like monopolized the NFL. What do they call it? The NFL simulation game. And
Yeah,
so,
so the licensing agreement prevents anybody
yeah,
else from being able to own the likenesses of NFL players. And Martin, I don't have clarification on this because it's either one or two things, right? Somehow the NFL was dumb enough to sign a singular like exclusive deal for like a shit ton of money from EA, which by the way, EA got the money.
oh yeah,
If you don't know, EA pretty much controls like every AAA simulation game in sports except NBA 2K.
yeah,
They have they have FIFA, they have NHL, they
hmm
have like we mentioned Madden, they have Apex, which is like a
UFC,
build like yeah, they have the UFC. They have every sports property except NBA 2K. And we can talk about NBA 2K until we're blue in the face. But what's happening right now with Madden is the product of, and Martin, I'm sure you're going to get to this at some point, is a product of lack of competition
yep, that was my
whatsoever.
next point. Yep, the fact that they don't have to care. The people, the in in a capital. Oh God, what's up, Matthew Berry? Um,
It is draft day.
that dude, that's one of the things
Wow.
with
What
this year's
I
draft
muted
client.
my computer and somehow that still came through.
With this year's draft client for ESPN, like, you're gonna hear Matthew Berry every time somebody takes a player in your queue. Just a heads
Yeah,
up.
yeah. I already hit the
Yeah, so it's
kill the sound.
yeah, it's I'm not a big fan of the this year's ESPN draft line, but back to Madden. Um, no competition at all. The people at the top, all they care about handing like is how many games did they sell. They don't care how long you played the game. They don't care anything. If you gave them the $60 that it is to buy the basic form of the fucking game, they don't care after that point. Then the second part of the things that they care about is Ultimate Team. They they only care about the fucking one part of the game that honestly isn't what made Madden Madden. Madden became
Yeah,
its thing because of the the career mode that it or the being able to take over, say, the Texans. You could kick Bill O'Brien out if you're not a Bill O'Brien fan and run the Texans how you want the Texans to be run. You can sort of still do that, but it's so shitty that a game 15 years ago, Madden '05, had more things available to people in the career mode than today. And it's just sad. And like it's just it sucks. The fact that one of the best video game franchises in my lifetime has just it's just fucking died. Like it sucks cuz I like yeah, I play shooters now, but for the first half of my gaming life, I was only Madden, NCAA, and any other sport game. Halo was down the list up until not 8th or ninth grade. Like, so to see it go from what it once was to what it is now, it just fucking sucks. And here's I'm not going to go too long on this, but here's the last fucking thing. It's not optimized for PC. They released a game that you can't play on the fucking PC for like who in their right mind releases a full game that's not optimized for one of the platforms that you're going to play it on? And it just it it just sucks. Like I've played the new mode called the Yard on the PC. Can't play it because it lags. face of the franchise is fucking terrible. Like, I want to know who came up with the writing and all this stuff, because you could literally go out there, right, and in the game mode and throw for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns and still get benched because it's part of the only storyline. Like, there's not multiple different storylines you can do. It's literally like brick by brick. So you could
Right.
go out and play and throw for the record number of touchdowns, like you can have a record-setting day and you'd still get benched for a guy that has a heart problem that you tattle on, and you have no choice to tattle on. Like, you can't even be like, no, I don't want to tell the coach that
And then
the
he like
quarterback.
dies or something like that. So
Yeah, it's fucking it. Madden this year is terrible. It's dead. Hashtag NFL drop EA. It's rough. It's a rough life out there for Madden fans, especially if you're just on PC like myself. So
yeah, don't worry, guys. That 22 gigabyte. I'm sorry, that 45 gigabyte update is on the way, baby. Don't worry about it.
yeah, it's
First pick was Ben Roethlisberger, by the way. This is a 2 quarterback league, so you need your backups and everything pretty quick here. Nobody picked up Matt Ryan. Josh Allen's still available. Matthew Stafford. I'm the bottom of the draft, so there's one more pick, and then I'm up in another pick. So I might end up getting shit, man. Anyway, if you got any suggestions, you can see it on the screen there. Matt Ryan, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Ryan Tannehill, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kirk Cousins, and Joe Burrow are like still available. Drew Lock is still on here somewhere.
what
You
bye
have
weeks
a
do
couple.
what bye weeks are your
They have
quarterbacks on
different
this?
bye weeks. By the way, that's what undid me to win the championship last year. Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson had the same bye week last year. So 6, 8, and 10. Ben Roethlisberger has an 8 as his bye
Yeah,
week,
so
so he will have to be.
I'm not a big Josh Allen fan, to be honest, or Matthew Stafford, or Tannehill, or I mean, if you're going quarterbacking in, I would go. Fuck. I mean, honestly, I'd wait for Joe Burrow a little bit, but that's just me personally.
Yeah, I might go running back here. So yeah,
Frosty
so
saying
my
Baker.
next pick is Baker. See, I kind of want to pick on Baker because these running backs are fucking trash. So it's Chris Carson, David Johnson, Todd Gurley, Melvin Gordon, and this is second round, bro. I gotta go with like a guarantee here. Let me see what these wide receivers are looking like.
Mm,
Bro, like none of these dudes are worth second round picks. And did somebody already got Hollywood? That's wild. Yeah, man. I'm gonna bank it on what's his bye week? 10 and 11. And I got
I'd go David Johnson with the players that you showed me, but you've only got
I
10
got
seconds.
eight seconds here. I'm gonna go with
Uh-oh.
Mayfield. There we go.
Yikes. Two
Yeah.
AFC North quarterbacks as your backups. That's
It's all good, baby. We're gonna get this dub. Don't worry. So we're done with quarterbacks. Moving on to other
Is there any way you
positions.
could make the active? Why doesn't it show the draft? Oh, you got the chat frozen on your side. I was gonna say we could see like who's been picked and in like what order, but then you wouldn't be able. Now you won't be able to see what the.
They're not saying anything important. They're all
Okay.
junk.
Tom Brady was the first pick.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb, Kyler Murray. See Clyde. I'm surprised he fell to fourth. Aaron Jones.
Y'all are whack, bro. I didn't know Chris Godwin was available. I got Ben. See, I feel like I made the right pick.
Oh yeah, for
based off these picks that are going up, like they're going for RBs that are not even fucking starting. I might go Todd Gurley with this next pick, bro. This is
Is he still available?
actually yeah, he's available right now. I might go Philip Lindsay, bro. I mean, no, if Mark Ingram's still available, we're going Mark
David
Ingram.
Johnson.
No,
David Johnson.
He's splitting carries, bro.
Oh my god.
Anyway, moving on. We're back to our podcast that we were recording here. Yeah, next pick up is Mark Ingram. Hopefully, none of them are listening to this stream right now because they will snipe my pick.
Oh yeah, for sure. What you need to do is like give like a flair, like say one name that you have in your queue that you know for a fact you're not actually gonna draft.
Yeah, guys, we're going for Kareem Hunt.
There you go.
No snitching in the chat. All right, Martin. So we Madden sucks.
Madden,
it's the worst. It's probably the worst in Madden history, mainly even though Martin, we're on the precipice of next generation, right? That's the worst part about this whole thing, right? Like if you don't know, the next generation of games are coming out for Xbox and for PlayStation. The Switch already came out like a long time ago, and they're not updating the hardware anytime soon. Because honestly, my friend just bought a full-on Switch. and that was last week. And as I suspected, those things are still on back order, Martin.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. Anyway, I think there's like Switch lights that are still available, but she said she got mad lucky to get the full on Switch that she had, and she got the controller that goes with it. So Mark Ingram's still available.
Yeah. So
So
we've
so is our primary pick, Kareem Hunt, still available.
yeah, we got a couple of picks before you pick next. So let's
Get some of
go.
these out here.
Let's get through. See if we can get through best of the best and worst of the worst by your next pick. So, you picked both of them this week. So I'll let you take it away for best of the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, the way it works on this show here, we bill ourselves as the podcast that talks about the best and the worst that sports has to offer every single week. And as you guessed it, sports always has plenty of content for worst of the worst. Best of the best is a little hard to find sometimes, but this week it was real easy. After a complete walkout from the Milwaukee Bucks that was followed by the rest of the NBA that triggered a massive walkout of the rest of the rest of like major league sports across the country, right? Shout out to all the leagues that froze. Shout out to all of the leagues that postponed it. Somebody picked Todd Gurley before they got Mark Ingram. That is wild to me. That's the kind of shit I'm dealing with, guys. Anyway,
And David Johnson went before Melvin Gordon. That's what I'm talking about. Pelotas, I know you're listening.
and best of the best, sports arenas are now polling stations across the country. I'll start off at the top. The number one initiative that came out of the NBA walkout in less than 24 hours. They were able to, after canceling 6 games, which of course hit the pocketbooks of a lot of the NBA owners, right? Because they're still trying to make this money off TV revenue and everything, right? The players, and with some counseling from one Barack Obama and some other people as well, they collectively came together with a list of demands, and they got those out of the owners. The owners, for the most part, in some way, shape, or form, most modern day owners own the arenas that they play sports in, right? Because there's actually, believe it or not, there's more money in owning the arena than owning the team, but that's a discussion for another day, my friends. Mm-hmm. This is in direct response creating the polling stations inside those sports arenas. They're called super polling stations, I believe is what the official term is. But from 2013 to 2019, 1,200 polling stations have been removed in the South. That's according to Reuters when I was looking up voting stuff. In place of those are opportunity. Those 1,200 polling stations are opportunities taken away from American citizens to participate in democracy, thus not having their voice heard. You saw what happened during the primaries for Georgia, where they had lines outside the door. People did not finish voting until 3:00 in the morning in some cases. And there's been many incidents. I've referenced it multiple times, like the one time they brought the polling devices in, the voting booths in, and forgot the power cords, quote unquote, right? Mm-hmm. There's been all kinds of examples of attempts to make it as difficult as possible for certain groups of people to not be able to vote. Who those groups of people are, I'll leave that up for you to determine. The other thing that has come out of this is a drastic attention from professional athletes to try to make it as easy as possible for people in their communities to be able to get out and vote and have their voice heard. Seattle Seahawks have turned CenturyLink into a voter registration booth, a gigantic voter registration area. The Major League Baseball, we talked about this earlier in Best of the Best, like earlier in quarantine. The LA Dodgers are utilizing their stadium in accordance with LeBron James' More Than a Vote initiative to get more to help with counter against voter suppression. They got the LA Dodgers to sign up to give up the stadium to use it as a polling station. 6 NBA teams declared that they were going to be polling stations before the NBA walkout. That was the Hawks, the Pistons, the Wizards, our Houston Rockets, the Hornets, and the Kings. All said that their stadiums are going to be used for voting stations. The walkout felt like it was more like, hey, we need you to get everybody on page here. We're 2 picks away here. So we need to get every single NBA stadium that is supported by the community to support the community. Since the boycott, the Clippers and the Lakers, the Forum, which is owned by Ballmer, who mm-hmm. owns the Clippers, the Staples Center, which is owned by the Lakers and Jeannie Buss and her family and everything like that, those are going to become polling stations and mail-in ballot locations. So if you have a mail-in ballot and you need to drop it off, you can take it up to Staples Center. The Pacers, the Jazz, the Spurs, the Mavericks, the Cavs, the Bucks, and the Warriors, which are both unofficial, by the way. They haven't declared it just yet. I'm on the clock here, and ladies and gentlemen, we got them.
Damn.
Mark Ingram. There we go. Um, the 8 other teams in the NBA are publicly owned, so their arenas are they would have to get through legalese and paperwork and everything like that to get those turned into polling stations. My take on this whole situation: a league comprised mostly of college dropouts, Martin. And sorry, I'm on the clock again, guys. Surrounded by idiots.
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor. That's what we're going. All right, hey, whoever said that. Actually, y'all don't want to go Leonard Fournette?
Nah, fuck Leonard Fournette. Jonathan
All
Taylor
right.
is the number one back with possibly the best offensive line in football, and
Yeah, but
has
also
Phillip
like
Rivers.
Marlon Mack.
No,
Like
dude, Marlon Mack, get out of here. Jonathan Taylor was
Marlon Mack, bro.
drafted for a reason.
Y'all disrespecting the Mac, bro.
No, I mean he's got a fucking perfect name for Return of the Mac, but you know, it it is what I think. I'm high on Jonathan Taylor this year. I'm actually high on a lot of rookie running backs, but that's
Actually,
just that's
hey
just me.
guys. So the
Tyler
real
Lockett.
next pick, guys, the real next pick is Tyler Lockett.
Okay,
But we're
wait,
gonna say
Keenan
looking at
Allen's
this.
still available?
Shh.
Oh, sorry. I meant to say DK Metcalf is still available, and Terry McLaurin, and
Hey,
oh
shh.
my god. Sorry. But what?
Okay, so we're only a couple rounds in, guys. So like
Yeah,
those players they're good, but they're not like top 2 rounds good, right?
yeah, sure.
So far the pick history, in case you were wondering, if you're just tuning in, we're in the middle of my my punishment fantasy league draft. So these guys, somebody got Devontae Adams, which is really good. Let's see.
No, these are the keepers. The draft starts
Yeah,
at 31. There we go. Okay.
Tom
Let's see.
Brady, Nick Chubb, George Kittle. Oh, man, somebody got Darren Waller. Wow, desperation.
Waller the
Um,
baller. They probably saw all the other tight ends fall off the board and panicked.
yeah, all the other four good tight ends.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are all the players that got picked. And if you're looking at the fantasy football screen here, we'll scroll down here a little bit here. And the picks I've made so far: Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Ezekiel Elliott, and Mark Ingram. We've also got Ben Roethlisberger and Baker Mayfield with Jonathan Taylor Thomas, which I feel like should be his entire name, but it's not. Anyway, moving on, Martin. As I was saying, my take on this whole situation: we got a league comprised mostly of college dropouts, in some cases guys who didn't even go to college, right? Like the Euro guys. And then of course, like there's some dudes who were one and dones like LeBron coming straight out of high school. Those guys somehow are leading the way in terms of protecting democracy in the year 2020.
And if you've seen
Do we see a problem with that? Do we see an
No.
issue with that at all?
I was just gonna say quickly that if you see the when the boycott happened and Chris Webber was on TV and he was talking about it, like how today's NBA players are, yeah, the NBA is different on the court, but it's even more different off the court. Like you probably wouldn't see just about any of these. I mean, look at Michael Jordan for an example. Like the face of the fucking league for however long, he was always criticized for not coming out and speaking. Now you could have 3, 4, 5 different people that are face of the league, and they almost all speak out about injustices and things like that. And so that's it. That speaks volumes to me. And then the fact that, I mean, yeah, they were pressured into doing it, but the fact that these teams immediately made their stadiums basically into voting centers it shows that at least somebody's listening. You know,
Right,
like
no doubt, right? Yeah,
that's one of the
and
things we hear
God damn
from
it.
from a couple of sides, or each side, sort of. You know, like they say the other side's
Yeah,
not listening. So
Somebody's
yeah.
watching this stream.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, somebody got Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf in back-to-back picks. Not cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening. It's cool. If you are listening, however, I want somebody to draft. Let's see, draft. Draft Brandon Cooks in the next round if you're listening. So, but yeah, we say a lot of people say like, oh, they're not listening to us. So I think what they have done this past week is showed, at least some people have showed that they are listening. You know, like they didn't have to. They didn't have to open these up for polling places, but like you said, 1,200 polling stations have been closed in the South since 2013 to 2019, according to Reuters. So like something's got to be done. It is what it is. I mean, political affiliations aside, I mean, this country was fucking founded on the fact that anybody could or everybody should be
Every voice should be heard.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I just find it funny that we have people who are considered uneducated leading the way.
Yeah.
It's really weird how that works out. How the people who are the sons of bitches are the ones that are protecting democracy. Anyway, moving on. Worst of the worst is far worse than what I just read off, guys. So strap in for this one. Martin knows what this is. Deloitte Hansen, who is the owner of Real Salt Lake, the MLS team in, as you guessed it, Salt Lake, Utah. Anyway, the subject of the league investigation right now, multiple reports had that he made racist comments in front of employees, and now he is going to be selling Real Salt Lake, the USL team that's like the developmental league, and then the Utah Royals is the name of the women's team, I believe it is, Martin. The Real Monarchs, my bad.
Or Real Salt Lake, yeah.
Yeah, Real Salt Lake here. So if you didn't hear what the situation was, your guy, Hansen, went on to the local radio station, which apparently that he owns. It's like the flagship station of Real Salt Lake. It's an ESPN affiliate. He had a conversation, and basically he was talking about when the MLS players decided to sit out. Right, they decided they were going to sit out in solidarity with the NBA in spite of the Jacob Blake shooting and everything that went on with that, to show support and show that they are here for a better world, right? And Hansen took that as, and let me see if I can get the quote here. Hansen took that and he blamed the players for what is about to happen. And when I say what is about to happen is, and I'll tell you that here in a second, because we are up, ladies and gentlemen. We are up on the board. Let's see. Do we want to go Marquise Brown? That's real risky. Cooper Kupp still available.
Damn,
so
somebody got Keenan Allen. They really are fucking anti-white. All right.
Is Keenan Allen still available?
No. Keenan Allen just got picked, but Pelotas has drafted 3 people that I've mentioned out loud. I'm just saying.
I'm not about that. That's Josh. So
what's up, Josh? Shout out. Thanks for. Apparently, Justin says Jonathan Taylor's not starting.
Yeah, he's not. I told you that. Yeah, Marlon Mack is better than him.
Dude, Marlon Mack's not that good.
Stephon Diggs still available, but with a new team. Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp though. I'm so tempted to go Cooper Kupp, bro. Like I really am.
I'm avoiding the Rams. Oh, he was saying that about Fournette.
Oh yeah. I got that.
Oh.
We went Stephon Diggs.
It's Ronald Jones that's starting, and then Fournette has to learn the playbook before he's allowed. All right,
guys. So this is the terminology they'll use in that situation. It's a fluid situation with the team. We're back and we're up picking again. So do we go
J.K. Dobbins? Oh wait, no, never mind.
I'm not going for. What is with you guys in the rookie height, man? Like we need people with established reps that we can calculate.
See, look at that. Marlon Mack's still available. How are you gonna say Marlon Mack is better?
Where is he?
He's scrolled down. You have to scroll down to find him. That's how low he is.
Oh, dumb.
Keep going. There he is. 105.
Oh,
He's come at me.
Yo.
But you were talking about Fournette, so it's not.
Anyway,
they said that today. They got old man. Oh yeah, they have Shady McCoy, Ronald Jones, and Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, they have Shady, but they're probably going to cut him.
Oh, true.
They might cut him. Anyway, Jordan Howard has not finished the season yet. Actually,
I'm trying to stay away. Yeah, I would go.
Let's go Hollywood. We're going Hollywood, baby. And I bet you my second time around for running back, Philip Lindsay will still be there.
Okay.
The only person taking carries away from Philip Lindsay is Melvin Gordon. And like they're split, like it can't be a 50. There's no way it's a 50-50 split.
I know he had a bad season, but I'm surprised.
He had a bad season after he tore his ACL, which we know, like a lot of dudes are like 30% less effective according to the numbers, right? 30% less effective after ACL surgery, but we also know that ACL surgery for a lot of normal people takes 2 years to heal from.
I was just about to say, I'm surprised nobody drafted David Montgomery yet. Yeah, he had a poor season last year, but they fed him the ball like.
Yeah, that's why. See, when it comes to running backs, I'm like, yo, how many opportunities you want?
Yeah, you want it. Yeah, exactly. But
So we move on. As I was saying, he went on to a radio station and to a podcast as well, and said the following. Basically, he went out and said he felt like them sitting out was a disrespect to him as a person. He also felt like he also pointed out that he's told some sob story about some dudes from Idaho that came all the way down to Salt Lake City to watch the team and then found out that nobody was going to be there because they let 5,000 people into the arena because their maximum capacity is 20,000. So 5,000 is how many they can spread out safely, right? And basically he went out there and he said, yeah, man, it's the players' fault. It's the players' fault that the fans are disappointed. And he said, it's their fault that I'm going to have to fire 50 people on Monday. It's their fault that we're not going to be letting fans in the arena anymore because I can't risk this happening again, which, by the way, this is the first time in like sports history that players have refused to play. So like him trying to pretend that it's a trend just because it happened one time is hilarious. It's an argument on bad faith, right? Like he just doesn't he's trying to like throw every sense of blame onto the players and call them bad people for trying to stand up for something that they really believe in, which is of course a world where anybody, regardless of the color of their skin, are not like they're not subject to being brutalized by the police in this country, or a fight against racism as a whole, right? Like a fight against prejudice as a whole. And I think everybody can get behind that. He said verbatim, all I can say is they supported other issues nationally. They clearly did not support our city or our organization. That's fairly clear, said Hansen. Josie Altidore took to Twitter, calls for him to sell the team. He says that he has a group of people that are ready to buy the team from him. And he also another Real Salt Lake player, Nedum Onoha, who plays for the English national team apparently, said he didn't want to play where he's not supported, which is of course Real Salt Lake. The YouTube and the podcast, the YouTube video of the clip and the podcast have been deleted.
Yeah, so he's backtracking basically. He's
and
trying to make it so that there's no evidence of what he said out loud.
In a second here. And these are examples of other times because as soon as they found out that he was going to be selling the team, a flood of people came out and they were like, "Oh yeah, this dude." They're like, "That motherfucker is exactly who you think he is." These are examples from an Athletic article. Shout out to them for writing this, of people that they talked to in the organization because one of the guys for the Athletic used to work for Real Salt Lake, and he talked to some people that he knew. He said in a joking manner, "Are we going to have to lynch this guy to Kellyn Acosta, who plays for FC Dallas, after he scored against Real and helped them win the game?" Like, for real, it was confirmed. Kellyn Acosta wouldn't say it was confirmed or denied, but his agent and the other person who introduced Kellyn Acosta to Hansen said it. The guy who introduced Acosta to Hansen walked away from the conversation after that happened.
And Acosta, just really quickly for everybody that if you don't know Kellyn Acosta, he's a person of color that plays in the MLS. So he's actually from Plano.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he's
a
Texas
for his hometown team. That's legit.
Yeah, he's a Texas boy playing for his hometown team, and apparently the owner of Real Salt Lake said, "Are we gonna have to lynch this guy because a black guy scored a goal against him in a game?" Like, come on, come on.
But he thought it was a compliment. We're up here in a couple seconds, guys. Whenever this next pick is up, so if you got picks, put them in the chat. Old man Shady McCoy, very accessible. But another example, he said the N-word twice to a Middle Eastern member of the coaching staff over an issue with an intern. A player who put his hood up to remain anonymous to fans that was hurt. He got into an elevator. He saw Hansen get into the elevator, took his hood off, introduced himself to Hansen and said, "Hey man, how's it going?" Hansen responded with, "Oh man, I thought you were a thug," in the elevator. People confirmed it. His family was there. They all said it happened. We picked Phil Lindsay, by the way. On that pick, we're going to be up here in a second again. Let me see. I guess at some point we should probably draft a shitty tight end. So we got.
Let's see what your wide receiver situation is.
Wide receiver. We got Stephon Diggs, Marquise Brown, which I feel pretty good about. I'm not gonna lie.
I might get if I were you, I might go wide receiver on this next pick just in case.
I might hit this flyer on it's Cooper Kupp. If Cooper Kupp is still available, we're taking him.
Well, here's the thing.
He's not.
Everything that I've read, I'm not going to say it until I'm going to wait till your pick comes on the board, but there's a wide receiver quarterback combo that everybody that I follow is talking about right now, and it's not an unlikely pairing. It's just the fact that he's doing it with another quarterback. After playing with one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And now a totally different quarterback's coming in. Julian Edelman is his name, as Sterling Shepard just got picked. Who
Wow.
could
Nah, no, we're not. We're not doing that. We're not doing that on this podcast, Martin.
what?
You know what that is. You know what time it is.
What?
So by the math of the Steelers wide receiver lineage, Deontay Johnson is set up to just fucking destroy this season.
Oh yeah, but everywhere that I've read is saying that Julian Edelman is outperformed, or like the Julian Edelman Cam Newton combo is.
That one's on you, Martin.
Hey,
that one's on you.
All right, I'll take responsibility if you don't win.
We picked Julian Edelman. That one's on Martin.
Everything I've read has said that Cam Newton could be a dark horse for the MVP so far. Just through training camp, though. So you know,
it's that Cam Newton. In case anybody was wondering, Cam Newton is the starter for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, it's not what the fuck the no name dude from Auburn's gonna Jared fucking Stidham.
By the way, you said Jared Stidham. Jared Stidham used to be called Mr. Friday Night Lights around here in Texas. He's from Stephenville, Texas. Yeah. So watch your tone when you speak about royalty. Bro. By the way, we might be looking at sneaking up on Henry Ruggs here in a second if nobody takes him.
Dude, I'm surprised. There's some names that are still available in this.
By the way,
yeah, there's keepers.
Somebody just took a kicker. That's the shit I'm dealing with.
That guy is the guy. Like, I guarantee if you click on his team right now, he's going from top to bottom. He's not drafted anybody on his bench.
It's Josh. It's the dude it's Pelotas.
Yeah. I'm gonna, if you can pull his team up, I'm almost gonna guarantee he has nobody on his bench.
Hold on, let me see if I can look at.
I think you just click on. If you click on his name, it should take you to.
I'm trying to click on it and it didn't work. Hold on, Pelotas.
Maybe double click. No, they took that away. Of course, ESPN took that. One of the good options to watch other teams drafting. But anyways,
we'll look at it afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
There's one more thing that we wanted to mention. He apparently is now selling all three of the teams, and
the training facility apparently.
Yeah, he's getting out of Dodge, as they say. Like he knows what he did. He's basically I can't remember Sterling, the Clippers owner, when he got caught. They're not. Yeah. The NBA forced him to sell. The MLS and the Women's League and everything, they're literally just like, look, get the fuck out of here. It's bad. Like, people used to say bad press is good press. I don't really think that's as true anymore, because bad press can absolutely fucking derail your company. So
here it is. So sorry, I clicked on it and it came up.
Okay, so he's got Matthew Stafford. Okay, so he does have a couple people on the bench.
He's got Carson Wentz, Drew Brees, Saquon Barkley, Miles Sanders, Cortland Sutton, T.Y. Hilton, Evan Ingram, David Johnson, Harrison Butker, Matt Stafford, Robert Woods.
Besides taking a kicker, he's actually drafting really well. He's really listening to me, actually. That's interesting. But yeah, he's been forced to sell a team. Sayonara, get out of here. The time of racist people owning things is starting to come to an end.
Intolerance is over.
And like the other thing is, it's funny that like none of this came out until he was caught on the YouTube and the podcast. Like if that didn't happen, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. So
correct.
He got caught, and now he's got to pay the consequences for it.
Oh boy, we got a live one here, ladies and gentlemen. Hunter Henry and Noah Fant are still on the board,
and T.J. Hawkinson as well. I mean,
by the way, there's a run on defenses right now, so.
Oh yeah, once one person takes it, people start freaking out. That's like historic fantasy 101. Like,
as long as it's not the Bills, I'm good. That's my target defense. Like, Bills. Like, look at this. The first defense that was taken was the Steelers, the Vikings, and the Ravens, which is hilarious to me. Yeah.
The one defense,
like the Bills and the 49ers should be like at the top of that, or the Seattle Seahawks, like whatever. Anyway,
the one defense that anybody listening to this in Ashton needs to stay away from, and it's not Bill O'Brien hate or anything like that. Do not draft the Houston Texans defensive special teams this year. One, their special teams.
There's a second-year corner starting in the top three.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Their special teams is one of the worst at getting kick returns for touchdowns. You want a defensive special teams that the chances of them taking something to the house is greater than 1 fucking % like the Texans. Like, I couldn't even tell you the last time they took obviously kickoffs doesn't really happen anymore because of the rule changes.
Somebody drafted Sam Darnold.
But punt returns.
Here we go with the backups.
If there's anybody in chat right now, I want you to go and find me the last time the Houston Texans returned a punt for a touchdown. I will guarantee, I guarantee you won't be able to find it. It's one of those it's one of those weird stats that the Texans have that just doesn't make any sense. And your video box just went really small for no fucking reason. Let me
Strange.
see if you bring me back. There you go. All right, there you go. But yeah, so the Texans special teams, stay away from them. And the Texans' strength of schedule this year is tough. Like when I first
That's what
saw it,
happens when you win the division,
no,
baby.
here's
That's
the
what
thing.
happens when you division champs, baby. You play the first
God,
place teams
dude,
every time.
that's not a good thing for the Texans. But anyways,
Consistency. Anyway, I'm up in two more picks.
so
So
yeah,
Martin,
stay away from
back to this back to this racist that we're talking about, Deloy Hansen. Also, yes, like Martin said, the Texans schedule is tough as it always is. Like facts, just facts. That's how it always is. They always have a tough schedule. He's selling all three of the teams. So we actually saw a bad person get removed from a position of power. God damn it.
Yeah.
JJ. By the way, they're calling Deloy Hansen the Donald Sterling of the MLS. Which, by the way, God damn it, there's one name that you don't want your name next to. Is Donald Sterling, my G.
And apparently, JJ Watt, when the story came out, said that he'd be interested in buying the women's league, or not the women's league, but the women's team, the Real Monarchs. Which, I mean, that would be pretty cool, I guess. JJ Watt's probably got more money than he knows what to do with right now, so buying a women's soccer team probably a good thing. And one of the things that I was going to talk about, I can just bring it up now. The people can rag on women's sports in general and like women's soccer and make all those jokes. The women's soccer is doing so well that NBC Sports is going to be broadcasting the English Women's Super League. I think that's what it's called. Next year. Like almost all of the games will be on NBC Sports, just like you would watch the Premier League. And so the game is growing. So to see JJ Watt be like, you know what, I'm gonna buy the Real Monarchs. One, I'm fucking jealous that you got that much money, and two, at least I think JJ Watt's not a racist. I mean, we don't know 100% yet.
Captain
but,
America, no, Martin, never.
Yeah,
somebody went the Colts defense. That's an interesting way to look at that.
so that's the best of the best and worst of the worst this week. Unless Ashton, you have anything else that you want to say on worst of the worst?
I mean, best of the best. You can call that good news, baby. They got rid
we
of
finally
a
had
person
some
that's
good.
fucking terrible.
Yep. It could, yeah. If a worst of the worst turned into something good, that's what we like to see. So best of the best this week. Teams listening, voting, polling stations being created in stadiums. Worst of the worst. Deloy Hansen, which is just a weird fucking name. As we move along now, about a week
By
ago,
the way, man, I just want credit that I'm not the negative guy on the podcast because I came up with two positive stories and said that one of them was negative.
Nice.
I was like, yes, bad things happen, but like good result.
Luckily, I don't know if Garrett's in the chat right now, but luckily he's not here to say that I'm the negative one, because we all know I'm happy-go-lucky, always positive Martin. You know what I'm saying? Your video box is just going all over the place. I'm sorry, Ashton. I'm sorry for the people watching. They are seeing you small. They're seeing your nose. It's we're all over the place right now. But we move along to about a week ago, Ashton.
About a week ago. Anyway, can we get a? By the way, Martin.
Huh?
Do we have an update on our guy Bobby Snorley? No, I think he's still in jail.
Yeah, I think he's still struggling.
Still struggling. But yeah, about a week ago, Martin, you want to do this or you got it?
Well, last week, as we've kind of been talking, we talked around in best of the best, and last week the NBA season kind of hung in the balance. The playoffs, when the walkout happened from the Bucks, and then on down throughout sports, and as Frosty said in the chat, it even went to the esports leagues. One Counter-Strike team didn't play in solidarity with everybody, and then
shout out to them, bro. Who's that?
I can't think of it. If you're still here,
Fox team?
I can't remember who it is. No, it was. I want to say it wasn't TSM.
If TSM did, that's big time.
Well, and then also in the League of Legends side of things, the 4 teams that were in the playoffs all came together to donate to the AC. Is it the ACL? I think
ACLU.
I think it's the ACLU. I'm not 100% on that, but they all came together and donated money to social justice causes, which was pretty cool. So last week, that's when it started, and then we kind of saw the not the we kind of saw the ugly side and the trolling side of some people. Obviously, we had the bot saying, "I'll never watch the NBA again," and then
A classic,
the people
a
that
classic. I'll never watch the NBA again
yeah
until I revealed that I've been watching the NBA because
yeah
they did something else that pissed me off.
yeah. So and then that was the next part. The people on social media that when they started taking knees were like, "I'm never watching the NBA again." And then they boycott and walk out. Why are you not playing for my entertainment? It's like, well, you said you weren't watching, and then Brian Urlacher kind of. I still don't
Brian
know what he said.
Urlacher.
I still don't know what he said.
So he posted on Instagram about how Brett Favre played after his dad died on Monday night. He played Monday Night Football the day after his dad died, and NBA players won't play after like a criminal was shot by the cops.
I don't really see the correlation, to be honest. Like the
It's
why
almost
he.
like there is no correlation.
Yeah,
Martin.
like I don't know why he said that because it's a
I mean,
choice.
Martin,
Both of them are.
Martin,
I guess both are choices.
Martin, you know
but
exactly why he said that. He's
oh,
a hateful person. Like he's an idiot. Like he's stupid. Like I don't like the fact that you even like he probably thought like he sent that out. He was just like, got him.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he probably thought he really like eviscerated somebody with that statement, and it was nowhere near that. So, and I get it. Some people think exactly like Brian Urlacher does. It's because they lack the fundamental desire to understand the struggles of other people, just like Brian Urlacher has his entire career, or apparently. But yeah, Brian Urlacher said that. It also came out from the Twitter account Resist Programming, which is the program the Twitter account that exposed the whole clips of pardon my take, not pardon my take, but Dave Portnoy saying the N-word multiple times, and all the conversation that Colin Kaepernick had about terrorist skin and all that kind of stuff, saying that Colin Kaepernick had terrorist skin and they thought he was Muslim and all kinds of shit like that, right? So even though he was at like the peak of his career, right? Like he had just come off like being in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and Dave Portnoy like legit is a hardcore Patriots fan, and he pretended like he didn't know who Colin Kaepernick was. Anyway, don't ever support Dave Portnoy in any way, shape, or form. Anyway, he's a psychopath. He really is, because he came out and said, "I'm not going to surrender to the mob," when literally people were calling him out for using a racial slur.
Yeah.
Because he was like, "I'm not going to surrender to cancel culture." And it's just like, no, dude, like before the internet, it still wasn't cool for people to say the N-word that are not black. So
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does.
I'll just leave it at that. He knows what he's doing.
He knows exactly what he knows what his base is. He knows what his crowd.
That's what my next thing is going to be. He knows what his base is. I'm still a Barstool fan. I am not as much of a Barstool fan since that came out. I'll put it that way.
I only
Because
fuck with PMT, just so we're all clear.
because I don't know, because the company and what they put out, like obviously not the N-word and stuff like that, but the way they do sports coverage is something I really like. They take away, because like ESPN and like the major networks, they have to be PC. And one of the good things about Barstool is not being 100% PC. So
Right.
I'm not going to defend them. There is no defending, but at the same time I appreciate the work that he does with Barstool for me as a fan, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Like I couldn't tell you the last time I listened to a Barstool podcast, and up until the video of him saying the N-word and the jokes and all that. What?
We just made a mistake.
Oh, uh-oh.
It's all good. We drafted Robbie Anderson. It's all good.
The alcohol that Ashton's drinking tonight just kicked in officially. If anyone's listening, he made it to round 14 before making a drunken mistake. And so, but
By
yeah.
the way, the Seahawks defense is still available. Oh my god.
So going back to about a week ago, that's what we were.
Yeah.
And then this week, the threat to not play.
No. Martin, before we finish, you talked about esports. Bronny signed a deal.
Oh, I don't want to. Please. I don't want to get.
Is it fake?
I don't know.
Is it just for the clout?
It is one. Was it FaZe Clan or 100? If it doesn't really matter. Both of them.
It wasn't 100 Thieves. Nah,
it is 100% for the clicks. It's 100% bullshit. It's 100%
Pay that man his money though.
Well, here's the thing. Is that him giving up his
Yeah,
professional
it is.
whatever? So he's going to go
Fuck him.
straight to the G League now,
By the
right? He's
way,
not going to
he's
go to
like.
college.
By the way, Bronny is a sophomore in high school.
Yeah, and
LeBron James.
the only reason he's
like,
famous is because LeBron James is his dad. He would not be famous if that wasn't the case. Anyways,
yeah.
The only
And
reason they signed him is for
that
clicks.
It sucks that people define him that way, but that's
No,
the life
dude,
that he was born into.
You can't. I mean, obviously, like LeBron James's kid is gonna get hyped up, but I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you can call me a hater, you can call me whatever. That is some grade A bullshit. I'll tell you
Yeah,
right
it
there.
happens like that, bro.
That is
Be like
literally just for FaZe Clan to say we have LeBron James' son on our roster. And here's the other thing:
and
a lot
have
of
him show to events and take photos
exactly.
of him. I'm sure.
The other thing is, if you notice in the game, a lot of these contracts only last about a year or two, and then the person that signs the contract realizes just how much they're being taken advantage of. Like TSM's in a bit of hot water right now because TSM Chica basically walked away from her contract because TSM didn't want to pay her what her value was. And so they
Welcome to
basically
sports,
wanted to like
dog.
exactly like they like it's I don't know. The LeBron when I read that I was like it's literally just so they can say we have LeBron James' son on our roster. But
All right,
that
guys.
brings up another question about he's not going to college then. If he's signed a contract, he's going to go to the G League.
I mean, yeah. I mean, so think about this: the G League experiment that's going on this upcoming season. Martin and I have talked about it on this podcast before, right?
Yeah.
There's a specific team for developmental players, right? And what we're seeing right now seems like Bronny signing that deal, taking that money, whether it's against NCAA regulations by the time he gets to college is of course up for question because it's him making money off his likeness, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's him signing a deal off his likeness. So like, why would that be legal for actual college basketball players or college athletes, but not before they became college athletes, right? Because back in the day, like you can go to like all-star games and you have to report like if they give you prizes and stuff like that. When you were in high school. If you go to high school all-star games, you have to report if they give you prizes when you go to clearinghouse. But if that's the case, man, he's all right. Like either way, like what's the point? What's the point of Bronny going to college, man? Because we're talking 3 years down the road, right? The one and done rule may be done by then. Again,
True.
The one and done rule may be over again by the time we get to that point because the G League has forced its hand. Like the G League making that developmental team is the G League is almost like signaling to the NCAA our deal, like this little arrangement that we had. Y'all aren't sending these dudes ready to play college football, like college. Y'all aren't sending these dudes ready to play pro basketball. So. Yeah. Like we don't need your services anymore. We haven't because that's why they put so much money into the G League, right? Because we're getting to the point where every single team in the NBA has a developmental team. Because that used to not be the case like 5 years ago, bro. And it's a big point of emphasis that they're attacking and working on their G League to attract international players. Because there was a whole I don't know if you saw this. There's a whole bunch of dudes who pulled their name out of the NBA draft because of the uncertainty of this upcoming year that are international players. There are college players who are going back to college because there's more certainty in them possibly playing college basketball than there is them getting to the pros. That's understandable. The whole thing all wraps around, like by the time Bronny, if he becomes a college eligible like prospect, right? Because we're all just assuming he's going to be good, right? And that's not necessarily going to be the case. Michael Jordan has multiple kids and none of them play professional basketball. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. It's stupid. It's stupid to think that like everything he's doing is focused on playing college basketball. So because he clearly has resources in a path that's different than any other kid that's playing basketball right now.
So Frosty's saying the NCAA actually changed the way players and contracts work now. Yeah. So they can actually profit off their likeness.
It's his likeness. Yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then he says him and Dwayne Wade's kid are actually really good.
By the way, Zaire Wade is really good. He is. Yeah. Zaire. So Zaire is a 5-star or 4-star, I think. So they all go to Sierra Canyon, which is the school that Lonzo and all them went to, right? or LaMelo went to for like a little while because he went to like 50 different places. But they go to Sierra Canyon. It's a private school. When they show up to play basketball, when they play regular season basketball games, the gym sold out
Yeah.
because it's just like Bishop Gorman when Zach Collins and all those guys were there. They had like five All-Americans starting at a private school. Like that's like for real. That's how it goes. Same thing with Sierra Canyon. It's just in California, and it's even more convenient now because Bron is in LA. We're on the clock, guys.
Yeah, so
Here.
Ashton, you make your pick. That is so about a week ago is basically kind of what we've talked about for most of the show today. The walkout and then the result of the walkout, the fact that that at least some of the owners and other people are listening to the fact that these players did that, and that like people will say it's like some of the I'm not going to put words in people's mouths, but it's an American thing to do is to protest and like want your voice to be heard. Like that's one of the things that makes America America. As
Yeah,
somebody that's
it's
not
literally
American, I
it's
think I can say that. Like it's not the
guys.
same.
Guys, we're in the year 2020. If you haven't watched Hamilton, go watch it right
Yeah.
now.
All right.
It will
So
tell you everything you need to know about like what this country was founded upon, and it's really interesting because some of the lines are definitely very fitting to still to this point, right?
mhm.
This country was founded upon a rebellion that was a protest to people attacking your right to freedom, your right to have a say in how the world turns. Because if we're all in this together, if we're all invested together, um, we can all have like if we're all invested together, we're all in this together, man. It's a different world that we live in,
Yep.
right? Like it's a
Yep.
totally different world that we live in, and that's why America, everybody having to say, everybody going out there doing their part is pivotal to our very existence. And for people who have been forced into positions of lead or who have been put into positions of leadership to try and intentionally defy our very existence as American citizens is un-American at its heart.
Yep. And so we're gonna move on now. We got a couple of things we want to mention before we get to the NBA playoffs and the UFC nicknames. We talking money? Or are we talking money, Ashton? We got a couple of contract extensions for the Chiefs. Andy Reid, Brett Veach, both signing extensions. I think the Chiefs.
Big Meech,
Yeah, I
Big
think
Meech, Brett.
the Chiefs. They want Andy Reid there until he retires. He has put in a culture in Kansas City and built this team basically from scratch because it used to be Alex Smith and the has-beens basically, and the Chiefs were a middle of the road team. Andy Reid comes along, they draft Patrick Mahomes. I'll stand up. I will admit it. Patrick, I was down on Deshaun Watson, and I was down on Patrick Mahomes. I'll freely admit that I was wrong on Patrick Mahomes. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's an MVP of the league. So Andy Reid, he's a winner wherever he's been. He deserves every fucking penny that they give. And I'm surprised they got pennies left after that fucking fat contract Mahomes gave. So where the fuck is this money coming from, Kansas City?
Don't ask
It's
them
time.
questions,
No,
Martin, because you don't want to know the answers.
that's what I'm
Baby.
saying. We need an
They about to.
investigation.
Hey man, they like this is the pro. So like this is an example of what we're talking about, right? This is why the Patriots have been such an anomaly for all these years. And it's not because Tom Brady's like one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, right? Like the one thing that's astounded people endlessly is one, they always trade out of the first round because they always had a 32nd pick, 32nd, 31st, whatever it may be, pick. And the fact that they have not let the system that be of the salary cap and the draft decimate their roster, right? The system of the salary cap prevents money from like prevents you from paying like a bunch of dudes a ton of big money to prevent them from going anywhere else, right? What really stops them from being hurt by the salary cap is that people are attracted to them because of their success. The draft puts them in the worst possible position after they've had the greatest success, right? They're at the bottom of every single round because they won the Super Bowl. They're the last pick in every single round, right? And they still found a way to work around that and not let the draft catch up to you. Which, by the way, if you don't think that's about to hit the Chiefs hard as fuck right now, it is.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that like I get it. They got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's fucking great. What's gonna happen for the next 2 years? It's gonna happen for the next 3 years. How much can they water down the roster and still have Patrick Mahomes be as effective as he was this past year?
Yeah.
That's the question. And the Chiefs are gonna have to figure out. That's a part of greatness, right? Like they're gonna have to figure out how to get to the point where the Patriots are, where like the draft and the salary cap does not that's not an excuse for not to win, right?
True.
Anyway, yeah. The other one was Joe Mixon. If you don't know who Joe Mixon is, most of you guys know him because of that one time he punched a chick out in the middle of a restaurant and walked away. So she called him the N word. He punched her in the face. Um, that happens. Shit like that happens all the time.
I was honestly
Killer.
surprised by this when they announced it.
Joe Mixon signed for like $48 million, right?
Yeah, signed a contract extension, so he's going to be in Cincinnati for I believe the next 5 years. Or the contract says 5 years. NFL can cut him at any point, but signs a contract extension, like you said, 40 plus million. Most of it, I believe, is guaranteed, right? Like this isn't one of those like Frosty brought up in the chat where it's backloaded. Like a Mahomes contract, it's backloaded. I don't think Joe Mixon's contract is backloaded. Let me see. 48 million over 4 years. Oh, did they
Yeah,
not
man. You don't
announce
need
how
to back.
much?
Yeah, man. So there, just go ahead while you're looking it up. I'll talk
Yeah.
about the Bengals and everything that they got going on. So the Bengals got a rookie quarterback. They don't have to pay Andy Dalton the money they've been paying him anymore. They've been jerking AJ Green around for years, right? He got hit with the franchise tag. Name another significant player on the Bengals roster right now. Anybody in the chat?
AJ Green.
Yeah,
Oh,
AJ
sorry, you said
Green.
in the chat. My bad.
Besides AJ Green and Joe Burrow, name another significant player and Joe Mixon.
Do they still have?
And statistically, they had the worst offensive line in the NFL last year.
Do they still have Geno Atkins?
Ooh, Geno Atkins. What a reach. Is he still in the league? Yeah, he is. I think he's still playing for them. They also have guy used to play for the Texans, defensive tackle. I forgot what his name is.
That's the only names I know. Burrow, AJ Green. Or wait, no, don't they have TJ Boyd?
TJ Boyd, wide receiver. Yeah. There you go.
Who's there? They have a third wide receiver. TJ Boyd, AJ
Randy
Green.
Bullock. All right. So Frosty Nug says Randy Bullock of all people, the fat leg from Texas A&M land.
So I've got his contract here. It doesn't say how much is guaranteed, which is interesting, but it's
you know what time it is, Martin.
So it 10 million this year, 8 million next year, 8 million the year after, 9 million the year after that, and then in 2014 a club option for 9.6. So he'll probably he'll either restructure after 2021 or he'll be cut after 2021. Or
just a little reminder here, guys. Joe Mixon had multiple single-digit rushing games last year.
Yeah.
He also had multiple triple-digit rushing games last year. Stay on the grind. That's the story. That's the moral of the story here. Stay on the grind. They will give you your money in some way, shape, or form at some point. And Joe Mixon been staying on the grind. He's been a part of the worst franchise in the NFL for quite some time.
So since his career start. So I'm reading. Who is this? One of the people that put out a story about this. This is kind of like an interesting deal. While Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook still are looking for their extensions. Excuse me, because they all came in the league around the same time. Their contracts are about up. McCaffrey just signed his extension, and McCaffrey's at 16 million a season. So he's the cap. He's like the top side of it. 16 million a year, and then 12 million a year for Mixon. So where did Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara fall between 16 and 12 million? And honestly, I'm going to say Alvin's probably going to get 14 million, and the Vikings are going to do something stupid and give Dalvin Cook 20 million a year. That's what I'm thinking.
That's Martin's hot take, and I will say this: Martin did bully Lionel Messi off of his team that he's been with for 20 years.
Yeah,
he also predicted that Barcelona was going to finish outside the top 5.
Yep.
Which means that they are not going to. They'll be in Europa League next year.
Yep. We're going out on a limb.
What else did you say? What other great? You said LeBron sucks last week.
Well, I did not say LeBron sucks last week.
Who else did you bully last week?
No. I said 2 weeks ago, when the Lakers lost to the Blazers in Game 1, that the Lakers looked disinterested and weren't playing well. And since then, they have looked extremely interested because LeBron James listens to the podcast. Shout out to LeBron. Like, if there's one cool thing about LeBron, he's listening to the show. But yeah,
yeah, sure. If you want to take it that way, I heard that Martin said LeBron sucks.
All right, well, Uh, call me a young Skip Bayless. There we go. That's
Call me a young Skip Bayless. Oh my God, don't
Dude,
do
did
it.
you see his? I might have sent it to you. Did you see his take on Luca?
Oh
Why
no, I
is
don't pay attention to Skip Bayless. I
why is
don't
it?
need that stupidity in my life.
He basically said that Luca is not top five, and that all he is a crybaby, and it was really
Like I
funny to
said,
read.
thanks for
I'm
reminding me
not.
why I don't pay attention to Skip Bayless.
Look, here's
Somebody in
the.
my league drafted Colin Kaepernick, by the way.
Did they really?
Yeah, he was a free agent.
Nice. They must know something
Talk about
nobody
a
else.
flyer. Talk about a flyer on that one.
Yeah, they know something
So
that we don't know, Ashton.
yeah, maybe they do. Maybe they got the hookup. All right, guys. So let me summarize this team real quick. We look at the display that's going on the Twitch stream as soon as it updates here. Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Ezekiel Elliott. We got Ben Roethlisberger and Baker Mayfield as backup QBs. Mark Ingram, Jonathan Taylor. Which, by the way, I'm holding Frosty Nugs on that one. Frosty Nugs in the chat. I feel like you said that shit.
No, that was me.
I'm gonna.
How he wasn't.
Oh, I'm holding Martin to that one.
Yeah.
Martin got 2 picks on here that I'm holding them to.
Yep.
Mark Ingram, Jonathan Taylor, Stephon Diggs at wide receiver, Marquise Brown at wide receiver, Philip Lindsay, Julian Edelman, Hunter Henry for tight end, Emmanuel Sanders, Robbie Anderson. We got the Seahawks defense, Eric Ebron, CeeDee Lamb, H-Town hold it down, and Dan Bailey.
Yeah, so Frosty was the one that told you to draft Baker Mayfield about 10 rounds
Baker.
before
I'm holding you to that one, Frosty. I'm telling you right now, man. I'm gonna come find you if we got beef halfway through the season. We're gonna have to talk.
If Baker Mayfield finishes with more than 250 points this year, I'll give Frosty a gold star. Even though I don't know what your scoring is in this league, so that might be easy to hit. I'm just saying. I'm not. He's all in on the Browns. I'm staying. Actually, if Odell is available in like round 3 or 4.
My favorite thing to do now is go check out the waiver wire.
Yeah, go straight to the. Yeah, I do the same thing, dude. Like, who did everybody miss?
Just to check in case there's some people who are like, oh, that guy's hurt. I don't need to listen to him.
So yeah, let's keep moving on with the show while we're looking at Austin, or I was about to call you Austin. Ashton's team, excuse me. Andy Reid, Brett Veach signing extensions for the Chiefs. Joe Mixon getting an extension, and then Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook. Where are they going to land on the contract situation? And we're looking at a fantasy right now on twitch.tv/WorkBoySports. Ashton's looking at the free agents in his league available right now. Alvin Kamara may have dropped a few draft spots from the news that came out about him not
Dude, I don't even remember
wanting a trade.
Alvin Kamara, which is weird.
He was a keeper, like second or third keeper. But it was really interesting the timing that came out, that he was missing camp, and at one point somebody said he demanded a trade. Him and his agent came out and said that's not true. We're not demanding a trade. It's very interesting, and his draft stock may or may not not plummeted, but some teams might be getting lucky if they drafted around the time that it came out that Kamara wasn't going to be a Saint week 1. But now we're back to he is playing for the Saints week 1. Media suggestions now, Ashton. We've only got one to mention. I've been too busy.
Evidence that I'm not the negative guy on the show.
I
also want to add something to it. I also want to add another one. Go ahead.
Oh, go. I was just going to say I'm too busy binge watching Lucifer to watch or listen to anything else. Though.
So there we go.
Shout out to I do want to say shout out to the ESPN crew for somehow pulling off the 24-hour fantasy football special that they do every year. I didn't catch as much of it as I have in years past, but still to pull that off in today's world, quote unquote, pretty impressive. Also, I don't know if he's in the chat, but my friend Kevin wanted me to call out Diana Rossini because she actually drafted. I don't like
where this is going.
She drafted 2 tight ends, really, really early. Like
tight end on the flex. It's not that.
It was I don't know. I can't remember who he said. I don't have my Discord open, but he was basically laughing at Diana Rossini and saying she kind of lost some credibility for him. But yeah, so shout out to ESPN for pulling that off. Ashton, what are some media suggestions you have?
So I have 2 here. I got one, the NBA Bubble Life Twitter account. Go 100% follow that shit. It is amazing. It literally covers the inside the bubble with the social media from all the players on all the teams and people who are like staffing from the team accounts and everything like that. And it's run by Nick DiPaolo and some of his friends who are Nick DiPaolo is like the head sneaker guy. He writes about like shoes and fashion and style for ESPN. He's a great follow as well. Anytime somebody signs a shoe deal or is getting a signature shoe, he gets like the one-on-one conversation with those guys and talks about like how they came to this process, what inspired the shoe. He's that guy. Same thing for definitely check out NBA Bubble Life on Twitter. They posted a video of Jaylen Brown and Enes Kanter helping Taco Fall, who is 7'5", learn how to swim in a pool that's 3 feet deep.
I want to see a 7'5" person trying to learn how to swim. I want to see the visual representation of that. That must have been. They must have had some laughs.
They're holding him on the sides, and he's working on his stroke, like his arm stroke and his leg kicking at the same time in unison. So it's pretty funny. That's my one. And this one also came from the NBA Bubble Life account. It is the goodbye video to the Oklahoma City Thunder after they got eliminated. It's literally a video that's just like, yeah, but OKC had fun in the bubble. So it was like a video that showed that. It was pretty dope, and it was all the fun things that they did in the bubble with each other and teamwork and all that jazz like that, which is nice.
Yep. See you later, OKC. It's been fun. We'll get to the NBA playoffs here in a minute. That's going to be if we're trying to get if we're going to get it out in under 2 hours, we've got the NBA playoffs and the UFC nicknames to get to. So we're going to try and attempt it.
Let's see. All right, guys.
Yeah.
We got 30 minutes. I'll give us 30 minutes here, Martin. We can do this.
Let's do
this, man.
Yeah, so you said you had one more media suggestion?
No, that was it. Okay. Check out the NBA Bubble Life video from
gotcha.
NBA Bubble Life video of Taco Fall swimming, and also the Oklahoma City Thunder in their goodbye video. It was pretty dope. I liked it a lot. Okay. So we move on, Martin. There's no Hi, My Name Is this week again.
No.
We're working on it. It's coming back. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's when we have a lot to talk about, it's the segment that
it's the number one segment to get cut.
Yeah, exactly. Which is really funny because it's the quickest one, since normally you or chat gets it really quickly. So it's kind of silly on my part for dropping it, but we'll bring it back. We're waiting for an I've got something special planned for next week. I'll say that. So NBA playoffs, Ashton. That's what's going on. As we wait for the NFL season to kick off, we got to pour some out. Like, you typed this one out, but I'm gonna say it out loud. We got to pour some out for the homies that didn't make it through the first round.
Pour one out for the homies that didn't make it, Martin.
I'm not gonna actually pour it, but I'll figuratively pour it.
Pour it down my gullet.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, that's for all the teams that didn't make it, which is 8. So we're getting closer and closer to that weird NBA final that we're all set to play, because they'll be the only 2 teams left in the bubble at that point. Nobody thought about that, I don't think.
It's going to be echoey quiet.
By the way, the best part about this week is that the players' families got to show up. So Fred Van Fleet, Father Fred, and by the way, premier athlete and signature athlete for N1. They're coming back. N1 shoes are coming back. He's got his own custom and everything like that. So check that out. Fred Van Fleet and his family were in the bubble, and his daughter took over Twitter for an entire day because she's amazing. She was happy to see her dad after not seeing him for, I think it was 2 months, because so the Toronto Raptors, actually, if you recall, the way their system worked, they didn't practice at their facilities. They went straight to Orlando, and they were the first team in Orlando to practice. So they got to do that, and he had to leave his family. He got to see his daughter. His daughter and his son, who he scored all those points in honor of last year in the finals to dominate and claim an NBA title. Eastern Conference teams that have been eliminated. We're gonna run through these real quick. Orlando Magic, the Brooklyn Nets, who, by the way, announced today, the legend, the King of the North himself, Martin, is back in the league. Yep. Steve Nash, the King of Canada, who's been working, and a lot of people have been saying he has no experience. He's been working with Team Canada, like Team Canada basketball. I don't know in what capacity. I doubt coaching, but he's been working with Team Canada in terms of like he's like a representative for them or something like that, which upset a lot of black people because they were like, wow, in a year that you had like so many black people available to coach a team with Kevin Durant and Spencer Dinwiddie, Kyrie Irving, Jared Jack, and all, not Jared Jack. Why do I keep calling him Jared Jack? He's the center for the Brooklyn Nets. I forget his name. Somebody
Jared
tell me in the chat.
Allen.
Yeah, there you go. Jared Allen, and then Allen
Is it
Crabbe's on
Jared?
that team too, along with who's the young man from France that dislocated his ankle? I forget. Anyway, Eastern Conference teams, they got eliminated. The Brooklyn Nets, they got a new coach today. And by the way, Martin, my argument is, and this is my hot take of this entire show, hot take hooking up here. I put it on my Instagram at the Ashton Forever as my unsolicited take of the day, because I'm starting to do that where I just give a sports take every single day.
Okay.
New York will belong to the Brooklyn Nets in 4 years.
Oh, for sure. Kevin Durant, once he comes back, Kyrie Irving, it's gonna be
they'll be the kings of New York,
oh
baby.
yeah, dude, they're gonna dominate, and it's gonna be interesting to see how they go up against the West in the playoffs. But they're gonna dominate the East. I mean, what's Giannis gonna do? Miss threes and free throws against them in the final when they play in the playoffs? Come on.
No way. Oh, we just got paid from fantasy. There we go.
Did
we just
really? got
paid from Thrive Fantasy because somebody signed up. I feel like I know.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. So appreciate that, everybody who helped out. And if you download the Thrive Fantasy app and use the promo code BrokeBoy, you too can get $20 for free if your initial deposit is $20. So check that out. Eastern Conference teams, like we said, Brooklyn Nets, shout out to them. They're going to be back, and they're going to be better than they ever were this upcoming year. The Philadelphia 76ers, probably the saddest out of these 4 teams that have been eliminated, because everybody got to get a new job pretty soon. Like Brett Brown's fired. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with Bill Simmons? With Ben Simmons. Sorry, I don't know why I said Bill Simmons. Ben Simmons. And who knows what's going to happen with Joel Embiid? How are they going to rebuild around these guys? Because there has to be something in everybody's mind where it's just like, these are the guys. Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid. And then we got to find everybody else to fill in the spots and make everything happen. So they're a lot better off than they were 4 years ago when the process initially started, but where they are now is not acceptable for the amount of time that fans have been subject to losing. So that the Indiana Pacers got eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a thing. All right.
Yeah, the East, I'm sorry, dude, but the East, I don't care. Like,
not a single one. By the way, not a single one of those series was ever.
No, dude. Like, I mean, maybe when the Magic beat the Bucks in the first.
Yeah, in the first game. Which, by the way, shout out to them because they were led by Markelle Fultz, and it's good to see that he's back to playing basketball at a high level, right? After just like the really tumultuous beginning to his professional career. But yeah, guys.
Yeah. Eastern
Conference. Yeah. Moving right along.
Well, I just want to give the East is so weak that one of their semifinals is already in game 3 games in. We haven't even started. I mean, maybe now that it's 9:00 on Thursday, I think the first game of the West semifinals is tipped off finally.
Yeah, so the Mavericks are sorry, we'll talk about the Mavericks later, but the Clippers are playing.
So that one tipped off, right?
Yeah, the Clippers are playing Denver right now, which is wild to think about because Denver was just in a Game 7
2 days ago.
Which is brutal.
So
they're up by 1 against the Clippers, so it's actually a lot of back and forth.
So they're kind of all just breezing through it. But on the backside of that could be a benefit for the East if the Celtics or the Bucks, whoever comes through, that they come in and don't have to play a 7-game series. Because the Western Conference, as we know, each and every game is going to be I mean, we'll get into the Lakers and Rockets, but the Western Conference is more likely to have more 7-game series than the Eastern Conference right now. And it's, one, it shows how weak they are, but 2, it could also come out to be a benefit because these teams have been grinding in the bubble. Like, they haven't really had a lot of rest. So any rest you can get, I think will help them, but I mean, it's going to be the Celtics. Personally, it's going to be the Celtics or the Bucks. And I believe did the Celtics win win again tonight? Let me see.
So the Celtics played the Raptors. They were up when I last saw them, but they're behind me, so I'd have to turn my head. Which, by the way, is why I'm turning around. For the people who are watching on Twitch.
The Raptors came back and won 104-103.
Yeah, they said that last 30 seconds in the Quidditch basketball group. This is the best 30 seconds of basketball they've seen in the playoffs so far.
Compared to the last 30 seconds of the Rockets and OKC, which was yikes. That's what we're gonna talk about that first in the Western Conference.
Yeah,
Please.
so the teams that we don't care about are eliminated, right? The Western Conference teams, every single one of these teams, you have to be worried about coming back next year and being even better. Plus the Warriors.
Yeah, everyone forgets.
So I can't wait till they go to the top 16 team format because it's gonna be wild.
See, that's what my take what I was gonna be, but I couldn't make it make sense, So I decided not to say it out loud. But we need to just do best 16 teams, like somehow keep the conferences, just don't have conference playoff. But it wouldn't work. But anyways, let's move on.
It would. They're working on it, Martin.
Yeah,
Wink,
they're
wink,
working
hint,
on
hint.
it, quote unquote. So
So well, they weren't the first team to eliminate. They were actually
no,
the last team eliminated from the first round of the playoffs. Is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and as you heard, Martin has some things to say. He got to get it off his chest real quick. I don't see anything on your take about respecting Mike D'Antoni.
fuck Mike D'Antoni.
By the way, the Rockets have the best defense in the playoffs, as you can tell, because they're led by a defensive mastermind by the name of James Harden, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen.
you're such a troll.
A game-winning block from a defensive mastermind. If he's not at least first team all defense this upcoming season, I'm gonna riot.
Please tell me you're joking.
Catch me in the streets.
Tell me you're joking.
Man, I
man.
will be riding in Oklahoma City.
Dude, the last 30 seconds of actually all of Game
By
7.
the way, hey, I just want to say before you start talking shit about James and the flopping that was going on, Chris Paul started it.
I'm not talking about any
They
flopping.
were literally trying to set him up to anyway.
My take is, and it's a conspiracy theory. So the Rockets are still technically banned in China, correct?
Oh yeah, I saw this.
So the NBA picks a referee that the Rockets have never won a Game 7 with this referee in charge. Then the Rockets somehow get to Game 7 against I'm not going to say terrible.
They're not terrible. They're coming into the playoffs. They were I think it was top 3 defensively, the best defensive team in the NBA playoffs.
And that is credit
of the Raptors.
That is credit to their fucking coach Billy Donovan. That is not credit to the players.
It's credit to Chris Paul.
I mean, Chris Paul had a decent series. I think you could say and I can't think of the rookie that set the record in Game 7.
Oh no, you're talking about Dort.
Yeah, he had like the most points by an undrafted NBA player.
Yeah,
which was impressive. But so conspiracy theory Martin's talking here, right? So the NBA cares about their viewership numbers. It's all they technically really care about is how many people are watching. So if if the Rockets are still banned in China, they're gonna do everything they can to make it to where the Houston isn't in the next round. And you can say I'm a Rockets homer. I'm a Houston fan. That is true. However, go and watch the last minute to 30 seconds of that. Actually, go and watch from about midway through the first quarter when I can't remember if it was Harden, Eric Gordon, or Russell Westbrook. They go for a drive. Don't even touch the guy. His feet are moving, and they call a charge. So that sets the tone. Late in the fourth quarter, they do the same fucking thing. They literally this one was Eric Gordon. He drives to the lane. The dude's feet are moving in slow-mo. So obviously they're moving in real time. And call it a charge. Like, it's just shit like that. And then the last 3 seconds of the game took 30 seconds to fucking play out. Or, like, 30 minutes, excuse me. The last 3 seconds took 30 minutes.
When I watched it, I was just like, leave it to Chris Paul to make 5 seconds take 5
Dude,
minutes.
it was insane. They called a foul on James Harden on Chris Paul they called some foul, and then it turned into a technical foul. And the dude misses. Didn't he miss the technical foul shot? Isn't that what it was?
Yeah. And Russell Westbrook got called for a charge. I think it was Dennis Schroeder that took it. It was 3 minutes left on the clock. Dennis Schroeder took it. Russell Westbrook grabbed the ball and smashed it on the ground, and they called him for attack. They sent him to the D'Antoni took him out. Smart move. Took him out of the game because he clearly was out of it. He's more concerned about the rest than he is focused on getting to the rim and finishing this game off. But Martin, I will say this: Chris Paul, for all of his attempts to draw that charge, especially that one possession where the Rockets were coming across half court and they kind of trapped, right?
Mm-hmm.
They kind of trapped. Chris Paul took it and he waited for the ball handler. I think it was PJ Tucker, which makes no sense. He tried to turn. he tried to turn into his chest, and then CP3 just fell down, and it
Mhm.
actually turned into a turnover. And then James Harden tried to mimic what CP3 did on the opposite side. CP3 misses the jumper inside the paint. They rebound it, go down, get another bucket. I think it was a two from Russell Westbrook, and that sets up the last sequence that we saw. That they got the rotation over to Dort, which by the way was their goal the entire time. Like if you
Mhm.
saw any other playoff games, they wanted Dort to take as many shots as he possibly could because he couldn't hit the first half of the game. And of course, as we all expected, the ending that we all expect when we see a wide open 3-point shooter, we expect James Harden to cover that fucking distance and send that shit into the crowd.
Bro, that was so. Frosty is not the biggest, and by when I say not the biggest, he's probably the biggest James Harden hater. He is not a fan of James Harden at all. So he
You're
he
not a fan
wasn't
of
watching.
greatness?
He wasn't watching. He wasn't watching the game. He was following it on GameCast, and
Wow,
for
that's
him
by the way, Gamecast is the way nerds watch sports.
so here and so well we were anyway. So he's watching it and he's like, why does the clock keep changing? And I'm watching it live. And I was like, bro, I don't know. It went from like 4 seconds to 1.1 to 2.0 to 3. And
Because they
then.
challenged. Chris Paul challenged. Because remember, James blocked the three. Dort caught it out of bounds, and he landed. He caught it out of bounds, reached out of bounds, caught it, tried to turn around and throw it at James. James jumped over it as he would because he's an elite defender. He knew that was coming a mile away. Um, he jumped over the ball, and they were like, "Well, when did the ball go actually out of bounds?" And they had to like slow mo it down, right, to
Yeah,
find out what the time was because it was like 0.2 seconds on the clock, which means that they didn't even have enough time to touch the ball on the inbound, bro. And it turned out, yeah, it was wild.
yeah. So he has a poor shooting night. He makes up for it on the last play of the game. Um, Blocks the 3 point.
So
And so,
so so what's the deal, Martin? What's the
huh,
deal, man?
huh.
What does he got to do? He got to be a lockdown defender and a prolific scorer in the same game for y'all to pay him his respect.
Hey, you're not talking. I am. I'm not gonna defend or attack James Harden. I think the criticism he earns, or the
Oh
criticism he
yeah,
gets, he earns a lot of the time. He had a very poor shooting night last night, and to some people's credit, superstars are supposed to turn up in Game 7 more than they are in the regular season. But at the same time,
I'm just
when you're
saying we
having
got
when you're not hitting the shots, you have to do something on the defensive side of the ball,
that's
and he
called
did it.
leadership.
He did it.
That's
He
called leadership.
he did help the Rockets win Game 7 on the defensive
James
side of
Harden,
things.
the spearhead of the best defense in the NBA
Here's the
playoffs.
thing: if he makes his shots, it's not even a 1.2 point game with 1.1 seconds to go. And so we're sitting here watching it right live, and I'm texting my other Rockets fans. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of fucking Mavs fans, and everybody literally said the exact same thing. 1.1 second left. Chris Paul is about to drain this three. What is and I've a couple minutes ago I literally just said that Billy Donovan deserves a lot of credit for being a coach. What the fuck did he draw up for that last
Yo,
play?
hey, by the way, y'all should go check out what Channing Frye tweeted out uh, during that game. It's hilarious. He literally stopped the TV while he was watching the game and like took his phone and recorded the like just the TV itself.
Yeah.
And it's literally with PJ Tucker with outside positioning on Steven Adams, a center, and they were down by 2 points.
Yeah.
So if they wanted the lead, they could have just threw it into Steven Adams. He could have dunked it. And Channing Frye was just like, "What the fuck is this? What is this?" And he zooms in on PJ Tucker using outside control. Which, by the way, if you are a basketball player in a high tense situation, in your mind, you see the opponent's jersey, you think that person's taken away.
Yeah.
And you have to float that in. And if the other person who's like, because there was somebody lower on the block than PJ Tucker and Steven Adams, so if that person reads the floater, they can just like run in there and plow through Steven Adams to get to the ball. The time will tick off, and they might send Steven Adams to the free throw line, and then all of a sudden we got a guy who, if anybody knows of Steven Adams' free throw percentage, I can tell you is probably the lowest on the starting five.
Yeah.
So
It was weird to watch. Like Billy Donovan is given a lot of credit, and I am a big Dilly Donovan fan, all the way back to his Florida days. I don't know what that last. I've rewatched it. I rewound it. I was in the middle of a survival game called DayZ, and literally alt tabbed out, letting myself possibly die to rewatch what the fuck it. So they've got the guy in the corner who doesn't fucking move. He literally is cemented to the corner. You've got this weird action with Adams at the top of the key, and then they just they throw the ball like Chris Paul is covered. It looked to me as if the only thing I can think of is they wanted Chris Paul to take the shot, but it's like you said, PJ Tucker is on the wrong side of Adams. Like it does,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense to not just throw it. Like it just.
That's,
I mean,
by the way, Martin, once again, that's elite level coaching by Mike D'Antoni.
Oh my God! Please, Mike D'Antoni's not a good coach, dude. You shouldn't be going to Game 7 against OKC in the first place. And are we gonna preview?
Showing to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Are we gonna talk about the fact that now they have to go up against Anthony Davis?
Yeah.
Who's gonna defend Anthony Davis?
Hold on, Martin. Here it is. Everybody, listening. This goes for Frosty Nuts. This goes for Martin. Anybody else in the chat too. All right, Martin, right here. Eyes, right here. Here's a secret. When everything is a mismatch, it doesn't matter. That, you know what that means, right? That means everything is an advantage.
Dude, do you not remember?
Don't matter.
Remember when LaMarcus Aldridge averaged like 40, 20, and 10 against the fucking...
Who was in the game? Martin, and who was in the game? They had a center in the game, didn't they?
It wasn't it
Clint Capella? Hall of Fame center, and he couldn't shut down LaMarcus Aldridge. So what's the only logical course? Maybe having a center in the game doesn't work.
Dude,
by the way, the Rockets are 2-0 versus the Lakers with small ball. Just pointing that
out.
Dude,
here's the thing: as a Houston,
about to get a rude welcome into the West.
As a Houston area fan, I hope. Well, here's the thing: as a Houston fan, I hope they beat the Lakers. I hope they win an NBA championship. But I dislike Mike.
That's the first time in my life I've ever got the chance to chant "Beat LA."
I dislike Mike D'Antoni so much. I don't know. Like I don't know if you can see me right now. I don't know where the weight goes. Do I want Mike D'Antoni to be fired or no longer be the Rockets coach more than I want a Houston area team to win a championship? And here's the thing: Bill O'Brien and the Texans are on that exact same plane. So, I mean, we're just getting there with Bill O'Brien. We're just now this. This is the first season I've been off the Bill O'Brien bandwagon. I have not liked D'Antoni since day one. I just don't think he's a good coach. He should have done more with Clint Capella. He should have. Dude, it's just.
Martin, you saying this about a dude who's in the second round of the playoffs again. So it's hard to hear the hate from when you're at the top of the mountain. When you're way up here at this altitude, when you 4 wins away from going to the Western Conference Finals, just because you got 2 of the greatest players in the history of the NBA in your way don't mean nothing.
We'll see.
When you're this high up, bro, the elevation, like you can't hear stuff like that. The wind is whistling too high. Anyway,
we'll see. I think it's gonna be an interesting series. I don't know.
I love that it's on a Friday, bro.
Yeah, it's gonna. The fact that Houston is 2-0, the small ball or whatever against the Lakers, that is interesting to me. I just can't get over Mike D'Antoni's. Every time they show him on TV, I'm one of those fans that's like, get him off TV, because I can't stand him, dude. Like it's just.
Martin over here, like if you weren't spending so much time on TV, you'd be able to coach.
Well, here's the thing. Sometimes I'll watch the Rockets on offense, and it's 2 guys standing in each corner, 2 guys standing at the top of the key, Russell Westbrook or James Harden dribbling the ball. And I don't think that's good basketball. Yeah, you can drain a lot of threes, but what happens when the threes aren't hitting? You go to Game 7 against a fucking OKC team. Like that it just
I mean, they beat him even when the threes weren't hitting, but we can talk about that some other time.
it's
We need to
just
move on though. We
yeah,
do
we do. We
because
do.
we got to get. But I will say this: the last thing I'll say about this. Shout out to Chris Paul though.
Yeah.
Goddamn. A sign of greatness is the ability to be able to elevate your teammates to a level that they did not know that they could reach. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, which by the way, that boy is good. He's gonna be good. And of course Dort, a man who was trending on Twitter multiple times because of this playoff series. When you elevate an undrafted rookie to play to score the most points that an undrafted rookie's ever scored in an NBA playoff series, you're doing your job as a leader, bro.
Yeah.
Like you can sit here and talk about how he punches dudes in the nuts or whatever. You can sit here and talk about how you can say Chris Paul is dirty. I will say this: Chris Paul dances the line between dirty and grimy so hard, bro.
Yeah, he does.
and you love the grimy Chris Paul because at the end of the day, Chris Paul takes advantage. His griminess is almost an insult to the dudes that like to flop in the NBA because he's like, I actually can flop better than you can. So if we're gonna do this game, we're gonna do that game. Like that's how they won a game because he was grimy as fuck on like multiple inbounds plays. Right? Remember that game when it was like it was like 15 seconds left on the clock and somehow he pulled that one out with a crazy ass 3-pointer. But yeah, man, and like you said, so many people have faith in that dude. I mean, at this point, bro, like even if you're a Houston fan, like you can't be a real Houston fan without respecting what Chris Paul did in that series and what he did for the Rockets when he was here, bro. Like that's all I have to say about that.
Last thing for me, last thing, yeah. I mean, love him or hate him, he's another one of those players that love him or hate him, you got to give him some respect. But last thing, like you mentioned how OKC's got a couple of players now. This is more of a joke take than anything. They're going to be a good 7 or 8 seed for a while to come. So I'll just leave it at that as we move on to the Utah Jazz, a team that was up. What were they up 3-1 against the Nuggets?
Talking about that. They're the 12th team in NBA history to lose 3-1 lead. It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah, it happens.
So Denver Nuggets, I will say this series I took away from it was actually something that we saw from both teams, right? Because they kind of mirror each other, right? Rudy Gobert is the best true 5 center in the NBA right now.
Probably, yeah.
Nikola Jokic is the best new age center basketball player in the NBA right now. Like hands down. Like there's no question that other than Anthony Davis, bro, like that's the best center in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a guy who, once again, sign of greatness, elevates the skill level of his teammates. I've been saying this about the Denver Nuggets for a long time, and I'll keep saying it. Jokic keeps them in every single game that they play. The only way they're going to win is when Jamal Murray does his thing. And that's what happened in a lot of these series, man. This series gave me hope for 2 small market teams like Denver and Utah. Utah's got a long, long history of great success in the NBA. Denver's got, they're working on it, man. You know, they went from the Carmelo era to now where they're existing with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, 2 guys that you can actually build a ton of success around, right? And this series, even though the Utah Jazz came out on the bad end of it, that's 2 franchises that are drawing more fans to the NBA. Yep. That's 2 franchises with guys that you can look forward to watching. With Nikola Jokic, who should be an inspiration to every tall guy out there in the world, and not be. He should be more of the mold that we should be shooting for. This like Nikola Jokic should be what we expect from centers, because Nikola Jokic is, before he's a center, he's a basketball player, and that's more important than anything.
Yep.
So,
from my take for the Jazz, no disrespect to Joe Ingles. If Utah,
all right, we about to fight.
No. I'm just saying, if they can bring in a really okay, Joe Ingles is good. We can agree on that. If they can bring in a really good 3 or 4, especially 4, more than the 3. If you can keep Joe Ingles at 3 and get a solid 4 in free agency, watch out for the Utah Jazz, because Donovan Mitchell, he could. Where do you put him on best scorers in the NBA right now? Because he can take over a game by himself if he wanted to.
Yeah, and I think sometimes he's a little inconsistent. That's just
true.
Real.
Yeah,
like he started off. He was one of the dudes that went into the bubble and started off like crazy slow, right? But when his team needed him most, he showed up.
Yeah, but
I like the Avatar.
The games that I have seen of the Utah Jazz, I have loved when Donovan Mitchell's had the ball in his hands. He's like the team we're gonna get to next. He's like a Damian Lillard carbon copy almost, but Dame is a lot more consistent than Donovan Mitchell is. But that's my only take from the Utah Jazz. I didn't really watch a lot of the series, mainly because it was like the early game
It was the
each and every
5:30
day.
game.
Yeah, it was the game that the NBA knew not a lot of people would be watching. Like you said, small market teams, but both of these teams, they said, look, we're gonna be the scrappy teams when you play us in the playoffs. Like you, you can't overlook Utah, you can't overlook Denver, especially. But yeah, that series and didn't wasn't it? I read some stat that Donovan Mitchell and what's his name for the Nuggets combined for the most points ever by two players in a
Oh
seven-game
yeah,
series.
Jamal Murray. Yeah,
Oh, it
yeah,
was
yeah.
Jamal Murray.
And
Okay, yeah.
and Jamal Murray scored like prolific. Like only four other people had scored more than Jamal Murray had in a playoff series or something like that. It was a lot of it was a record breaking performance for Jamal Murray, and it was the kind of performance that people have been waiting for a long time. And I hope that we don't come back next season expecting that from him all the time.
Oh yeah. But
That would be
still,
foolish.
still that stat that they put out that like I like stats like that. Two players putting their teams on
Right.
their back, just dropping buckets. Um, I'm looking right now, it looks like it's halftime as we're talking with the Clippers and Nuggets. The Clippers are up by 18. It was actually tied at the end of the first quarter, but the Clippers pulled away during the second. Jamal Murray is already put 10 points up, but he's 4 of 11 from the field. Kawhi's going off again. Um, this is one thing I did want to bring up, and um, I'll bring it up during the Mavericks. Let's get to the Trailblazers first, because
Yeah, man.
they got knocked out by the Lakers.
You know, everybody was they got the first win of the
Hmm.
series, right? And then shit broke loose, right? Like the Lakers started playing like the Lakers a little bit more. They went from absolutely astounding to worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
They were the team they dominated in the bubble, right?
Ashton, I have to take a phone call real quick while you talk about the Trailblazers. I'll be
Ooh,
right back.
no doubt. Hopefully, this is not a bad phone call. But anyway, the Portland Trailblazers doing the thing out there. They went from worst case scenario to they went from best to worst case scenario, top to bottom, right? Like they were an elite level team that dominated those seeding games to earn their spot in the playoffs, and it gave them enough momentum and enough skill and enough ability to go out there and get a win versus the Lakers. And you know for a fact, if you're a basketball fan, how good that Portland Trailblazers team is. So it should be it's astounding how well the Lakers were able to control that game. And then it all goes sideways, right? CJ McCollum gets hurt. He has like the vertebrae situation where they have to like he's getting daily treatment all the time, and he's probably getting like a cortisone shot like straight in the back every other day because you can't do it like multiple days in a row, right? Um, and Dame dislocates his finger and has a knee strain that's pretty bad that was gonna make him miss the rest of the series, and he actually went home so he can be with his kids. And he also announced that he's having twins. So shout out to him, shout out to Dame and his wife and his son. So yeah, that's gonna be it's something definitely to take away from it. It's important to take away from it, and it's difficult to sit here and say anything other than be impressed with what the Portland Trailblazers were able to pull off, man. It's astounding that they got this far, and it'd be amazing to see what that team would have been capable of doing if they were 100% from the start of the year. Because remember, they were talking about like if they did even make the playoffs during a regular season for the NBA, if Nurkic would have came back, and I think there was no chance that he was going to come back based off of like the time frame that we saw. And that's an important aspect of this. So expect a lot from them next season, like we do every year. Like we gotten to the point where like people need to stop being surprised that the Portland Trailblazers are good, and you need to start putting expectations on them, right? You need to start putting, at one point these guys are the number one seed in the Western Conference, right? And then you go from best to worst at one point during the NBA from like last year to this current season that we're in. Gary Trent Jr., if he can keep up the pace that he brought to the bubble into next season, that's going to be interesting. That changes the dynamic because that's a fourth guy that they add to a team that is a lot of developed talent, not free agents that have been brought in. And I start to ask the question, Martin, like what point do we see free agents start being like, I like what they're doing over there, and they make the choice to go over there. And I mean guys that are not like Carmelo Anthony, right? Like guys that aren't like skeptical or questionable about like if they have it left until we get to see them play some top tier basketball. I'm talking about some of these big time free agents decide like they want to go be a part of what Damon, CJ, and Yusuf are being about, right?
Oh yeah,
And so
definitely. For me, uh, the only thing is, does Damian Lillard have some sort of like, what's the word? Uh, like, do people know something about Damian Lillard that we don't? Like, does that keeps some of these free agents from going up to Portland? Because he's been doing this every single year he's in the league, just absolutely dominating. I mean,
I will
he's
say that
he's put the
they are
dagger
small.
in.
They're a small market team,
Yeah,
so it's hard for them to be out here and like say that they're going to give you like a max contract, and and you know what I mean. Like they can't have. They're not a team that can afford three super max or three max
yeah,
contract type guys, and that definitely goes a long way in terms of like what the team can offer to certain players. So I
true.
think that's a big factor in what everything is going on here. But I feel like that's a team worth taking a shot on.
Yeah,
If you're a star or if you're a star in the NBA, that team is worth taking a shot on, bro. Like that's a team that's worth um being a power forward, being a center, and going out there. Like Hassan Whiteside decided to do that
yeah,
this year, and I'm sure Hassan had offers from other teams or whatever. But Hassan, like he completely changed the narrative about his game
yeah. He did.
overall this season. Like people used to think he was a true five for the Miami Heat that held them back, and he was a huge integral part of the Portland Trailblazers getting wins in the playoffs, getting wins in the bubble, because he was a great backup for Yusuf Nurkic, who is offensively gifted. There's no question about that whatsoever. And Hassan Whiteside brings that true five presence that you need when it's time to shut down these elite level guards in the paint.
Yep.
Like that's a huge part of it. And then he gets, of course, like garbage points. He's the guy who gets offensive rebounds. He's the guy who makes sure that people have to go and actually earn the rebound when the ball comes off the rim. And it's, you know, it's a guy who changed his entire narrative. And I hope I hope other players take note and, you know, think about possibly going to Portland and helping them become an even more powerful team than they already are.
I've got one question before we move on to the Mavericks. Uh, Carmelo signed a 1-year contract, right? So does he, after the success of this season, does he come back again with Portland and give it one more chance?
I think there's something to be said about like Melo's not done until he decides he's done, and I think the Portland Trailblazers are more than willing to let him come back until he decides that he wants to walk away. And you look at his counterparts like Chris Paul and LeBron James, who are like in the same draft class. In the case of LeBron James, in the same general draft class, it's hard to argue anything other than like why would I not come back, right? Why would I not come back and try and be a bigger part of what the Portland Trailblazers are about? Especially because remember he got picked up
Hmm.
before the bubble situation,
Yeah,
right?
he got picked up in, what was it, November, December, or it had to be November, right?
Yeah, and like right before that whole thing shook out, and people were wondering what his role was going to be, and he earned one in a short amount of time. And it's hard for me to believe that Carmelo Anthony can't come in there, dedicate his supreme talent that he has as a basketball player, his knowledge that he has as an NBA player, and then his willingness to go out there and win. Because at the heart of it all, I don't think anybody's ever questioned that Carmelo Anthony wants to win basketball games. And if you want to be real about it, you can argue the Portland Trailblazers team that he's on right now is one of the best teams he's ever been on,
Yeah,
Martin.
or
Why
at
would he
least for a
not come back?
long time, a very
Yeah,
long
for a
time.
long time. Even if we take the Denver years, like how
Hmm.
many of those playoff series did they go in and we expect them to win? Right.
Yeah.
That's up for debate. But with the Portland Trailblazers, that's a winning expectation from a team.
Hmm. I hope he comes back. I'm a big Carmelo fan. I have been all the way since when he basically carried Syracuse to their national championship as a like all
Which, by
those
the
years
way,
ago.
if you haven't been taking notes, that shit is hard as fuck.
Yeah,
If you're a one and done player to go and win a national championship game.
like he's one of those players that like his attitude you can, or at least I connect with, like the he don't give a shit who you put in front of him. He's gonna guard you on defense and he's gonna go at you on offense. And I love watching Carmelo Anthony play. Especially when he goes up against like the other superstars of the league, like he kind of proves himself. So I hope he comes back next year. And if he comes back with Portland, I think Portland is in a good spot. I mean, with not with or without him, but in a better spot. I think they'll be. I mean, he's gonna be a year older. People will say the miles on his legs, but you know, it's basketball. I don't know if miles on legs. I don't know. It could. I don't know. It could play a part in it, but I hope he comes back. The league is better when Carmelo's in it, especially when he's good. Um, but now comes the time really we talk about North Texas's favorite team. Ashton and I are both um, we both say fuck Dallas a lot, um, but they sort of gave the Clippers the run for their money a little bit, or at least at first. They definitely. I think they had Doc Rivers worried in the first couple of games of the series.
Yeah, we say fuck Dallas on here all the time, but we say it respectfully.
Yeah.
Uh, there's no question that Luka is one of the new superstars in the NBA, and we're still waiting to see. And the wild part is he's going to get better. So
I'm
that's what
not.
we like to imagine.
I'm not going to. As long as he's on the Dallas Mavericks, I'm going to sit here and say he's overrated. But the day that he is no longer a Dallas Maverick, you can guarantee I'm going to be all aboard the Luka Doncic chain because that white boy plays with fucking heart. He don't give a shit who you put. Like when I
He
read
lost.
Skip,
He lost his duo counterpart
he
in a
did.
game, in multiple games, and he played better somehow.
Yeah,
So
and he also didn't have his ankle for half the series. And um, my biggest takeaway from it is they fell they fell into the Clippers they fell into the Clippers bad boy attitude early in the series, and the mind games got into like they fell for the mind games at the like I can almost guarantee you Doc Rivers and Marcus Morris had a conversation about you need to be the one
oh,
to
Mark, I'm gonna
cause
tell you
hell.
this right now. You ain't got to tell Marcus Morris to go out there and rough dudes up. He knows what time it is. Like that. See, that's my thing, man. Like, am I wild? Let me know in the chat, man. I grew up like as a basketball player. Nobody ever told me or anything like that. Maybe because I saw it from other professional players and I picked up on it. But when somebody gets hot, you got to tune them up a little bit.
Yeah, gotta get in their
Like
face. You
you
gotta do
got to touch them
something.
up.
You gotta do something to put the flames out, bro. Like I'm 100% there with you, dude. Like it, but
I'm just saying, you ain't got to tell. You don't have to tell Marcus that. Like Marcus knows. Marcus been playing long enough. I don't think there was ever a conversation. I think it was Marcus just being like, "Well, we're not letting that shit that happened the other night happen again. So we're gonna stop that right now." So yeah, here's one to two piece to the eyes, man. Anyway, I just point that out, man. And of course, people trying to call him dirty because he did the whole he did the thing that what was it Kawhi they did it to? When the Warriors played Kawhi and it was it Ilyasova that did it or was it Pekovic?
I think it was. I think it was Illy. I'm not 100%. I can see the
I don't
play
want
that
to
you're
slander
talking.
Illy's name. I like Illy a lot. I don't
I
want to
can
slander
see the
Illy's
play
name.
you're talking about in my mind, but I can't tell you which player it was.
Yeah, and it's a dude that we all knew was like he does stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's when it's the play I'm talking about. It's like he ran up underneath Kawhi when he took a three out of the corner. It was a jump three, and he landed on his foot, and it twisted Kawhi's ankle to the point where he couldn't play for the rest of the game. So that's what they're saying. Marcus is trying to do on purpose, and I'm like, or he's trying to defend a guy who's just like on fire,
Yeah.
or both. Who knows? Could be a little bit of both. It usually is a little bit of both.
Little bit, but the Clippers are, I guess, the Detroit Pistons of this year's playoffs. Um,
Hey
I for
man,
one miss
hey
the bad
Martin,
boy era. I like
not to be
I.
that guy. Playoff P is back, baby.
Oh god. I guess.
He just knocked down the three. They up by like 20. It looks like right now.
Well, I'm glad for him. He's got his problems sort figured out. Um, but yeah, the Clippers seem to be the because you can't really be bad boys in today's NBA, but every time you looked up during the Mavs Clippers series, two or three players were getting in each other's faces. The Mavs bench was getting in on it. You could just tell that they were in their heads from game one. And
That's what
I mean,
happens if you got three first team All NBA defenders, baby. You know
true.
what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
like you be in there in the face of everybody, and they're just not like you're just not accustomed to getting touched up like that. And of course, the spearhead of that is Patrick Beverly. So
Yep. Patrick Beverly, he was born and bred to be the rough, tough little bulldog on the
Chicago,
team. Yeah, dude, just biting
Chicago's
at your
very
ankles.
own.
This everything that I miss about the obviously they had to clean it up after the Malice in the Palace and all that shit in the Bad Boy era, but man, I hate the fucking happy-go-lucky friends with everybody part of the league. I just it's not for me. But we move on. Unless you want to, yeah, unless you got one more thing you wanted to say about any of the playoffs.
Nah, that's pretty much it. We move on to awards night, baby.
Yep,
Did they say it? They announced it already? Is
I
it
know they
official?
announced Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, rookie of the year got announced, but tonight's supposed to be the night they announce that Giannis is the back-to-back MVP.
I haven't seen it come down yet.
Yeah, me neither. I was checking my phone. Okay. Let me freak you guys out who listen to this podcast after Thursday. Giannis is the back-to-back MVP of the NBA, which is crazy to think about because that's a dude who was literally living on the streets of Greece, of Athens, Greece. Um, I would
but
say
is he
less than a
winning the
decade.
NBA of just dunking the ball?
Nah, man, it's
Or yeah,
there's a culmination of things. Elite level defense, right? Combined because he won Defensive Player of the Year too.
yeah,
Um,
which Anthony
elite level.
Davis was not happy about.
I mean, you know what? I'm not gonna say it. We're not gonna get into that discussion. But yeah, Giannis Antetokounmpo is, quickly establishing that he is one of the greatest of our time, and this is a guy who literally became a great basketball player when he started eating food on a regular basis.
Hmm.
So that happens, and it's actually a sad truth about a lot of dudes who end up playing basketball to a certain degree. But Giannis and his brother Costas is playing for the Bucks, I think, and his other brother is like in the G League.
Yep.
But yeah, Giannis is a dude who was literally like his family didn't have food to eat, and they were running. They lived in fear every single day. I watched a piece. It actually was dropped by TNT. It was really well done. It was about how things that are happening here in America when it comes to xenophobia, not too far off from what's happening in Greece,
Yeah.
and how how immigrants are almost hunted by the Greek government, and how they have a party that there's the platform that they stand upon is the immigrants are the problem with Greece, and that's why Greece went bankrupt, and that's why everything is a problem, not like the people themselves and not decisions that were made. It is the immigrants who came in here and messed everything up, which, if you know anything about the Holocaust, sounds really familiar. Yeah, so that guy came from that environment, is back-to-back MVP in the NBA. That's amazing.
It's not
What
official
awards are you
yet.
guys?
It's not official. All the James Harden fans out
It's official in
there,
my heart. God damn it! No, I'm just kidding.
all the James Harden fans. It's really funny that like the the two leaders of the MVP race are both in the past couple of days showing their the weaker part of their games. I guess like James Harden, he just for some reason game sevens are his kryptonite. Um,
And Giannis, his weakness is three dudes in the paint between him and the rim.
well, you got the three part right. He can't shoot threes, and he for some reason as how does he miss so many free throws? Like what was his? While you answer me that question, I'm gonna look up his free throw percentage of this season, and if it's above 80, I will. I don't know what I'll do. I'll gift five. Oh wait, a minute, we
Gold
don't have
star.
subs yet. Yeah, I'll give you some gold. I'll give people gold stars if he was above 80 this year. Where is he at?
Yeah,
Where is he
man.
at?
Giannis, I don't know. There's a lot. So okay, there's a lot to be said about like biometrics when it comes to shooting free throws. Um, Giannis obviously has arms significantly longer than the average human being,
True, true.
and when you think about it from like if you think about it from a short person perspective, and when I say short in the NBA, I mean people who are under 6'4". So
Mhm.
that's like most of the population, right? Um, when you think about like the height that Giannis is at, questionably, possibly almost 7 feet tall, 6'10", 6'11", with the wingspan of like a person who's 7'2", I believe it is. When he lifts his arms up to shoot jumpers, or when he lifts his arms up from a planted position, his arms are like damn near dead even with the rim. So for him, he has to shoot like almost his arc that he has to take is significantly different than the average human being.
Mhm.
Your arc starts below the rim. His arc is almost at the rim level, and it has to go over the top. and that affects a lot of dudes big time. I think that's why a lot of centers really struggle with shooting
I was gonna say,
free throws.
does he suffer from the Shaq virus? I don't know. I was
If you
trying to
never,
make like the Shaq curse. You know, the curse of Shaquille O'Neal. One of the greatest basketball players ever couldn't buy a free throw, and hack a
yeah,
Shaq became a thing.
I mean, if you want to get real about it, like LeBron in certain positions, like
Oh,
sometimes
true, true.
he phases in and out of shooting really good free throws. I think part of that is like sometimes that dude just be tired because he been LeBron James been carrying NBA basketball teams on his back
For a long time.
almost 20 years, bro.
So,
Like,
Ashton, I've just come up with a nickname for Giannis. So you know how there's hack a Shaq?
I don't know if you know this or not. He already has. I'm just kidding.
Oh, he does. Oh, I was gonna
He has
say
the freak.
we can no. We can call it Hackatacumpo. Hackatacumpo, or like I can't really pronounce his name, but put
Hey,
hack.
moderator, get this guy out of here.
Put the hack in the front.
Get him out of
Hackatacumpo.
here.
So I'm trademarking that. I'm making shirts of it because I've got his percentage up here. The regular season this year, 63 games, 63% from the line. 7 games so far in the postseason, he's regressed 58.5 from the free throw line. His career, he's 72% from the free throw line. Ashton, in just the last few games in the Orlando series and so far to the 2 losses in Miami, he's one game. He had 33. Or I'll go from what is this, game 4. All I can see is, or hold on, let me see if this loads in time. Where is the series against the Magic? Series against the Magic,
I just
60%
want to add.
overall.
I want to. Okay, I was gonna add this to the tally of people that Martin has gone at. Like another great. He went at Messi. He went at Braun.
Yeah, now
Now
we're
he's
going
going
to
to
Giannis. Yes.
Now
All
he's
right.
going on the night that Giannis becomes back to back in an NBA MVP. Martin is pointing out the one flaw in his game.
Hey, somebody's got to do it, man. Somebody's got to not toot this guy's horn like he's the greatest of all time. So he had 2 games where he shot 50% or less from the free throw line against the Magic. Game 1, and like these are like obviously they beat the Magic, so they've lost 2 games to Miami. What is they
Oh,
lost by 11?
By the way, Martin, it's over.
What, you think Miami's winning that series?
You think the Bucks gonna make it till Tuesday?
Dude, I don't
You
know.
think the Bucks gonna make it out of this weekend before they
Does
get
an
a hit?
MVP normally lose in the semifinals of a Eastern Conference? I don't know about that
MVP's
one
a
either.
regular season award, dog.
That is true. 33% in game 1. He missed 9 free throws. They lost by 11. So, I mean, they still would have
That's
won if
9
he'd hit
points off
every
the
single.
board.
They
9
still would have
points plus
won.
some turnovers. Yep.
But, you know what I'm saying? Like, he had 6 turnovers. Are we going to talk about his turnovers? Because, I mean.
Oh man, Martin's got full Stu Gods on us right there.
Anyway,
like, look at all these horrible things that this great basketball player's done.
So
like,
they
how
lost.
You guys even like him?
They lost game 2 by 2 points. He missed 4 free throws. So I'm just saying.
So Martin is putting
all the blame,
all the losses,
all of the blame, the
all
entire
the
yes
on Giannis's free throw shooter.
Dude, I'm just saying. How can you be the MVP of the league and shoot poor free throws? It doesn't
what a podcast we've cooked up here, Martin. We talked about elite all NBA defender James Harden, and Giannis apparently sucks at basketball now.
The most valuable player is not valuable at the line. I'll just put it that way. That is, you know, I mean, if that is the worst part of his game, it is what it is. But it's costing them games. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. So yeah, going back to Ja winning Rookie of the Year, 99 of 100 first place votes.
By the way, fuck that one dude.
One person voted for Zion, right?
I feel like everybody's scouring the internet. Like somebody.
Yep.
I'll hit up Joe George. If you didn't listen to his episode on the Broke Boy Sports Podcast, he's a basketball guy. Like we're both basketball guys. That's how we like bonded or whatever. But yeah, I'll hit him up. He might know who it is.
Yeah. So
somebody knows.
One person gave Zion the Rookie of the Year, even though Zion played like 23 games in the regular season.
Zion didn't play. Ja Morant literally carried his team to the playoffs. Zion could not do that.
Yep. So I personally don't even think Zion should have been eligible for the award. He didn't really play half of the season. You should at least play like 50% of the season to be eligible.
Yeah, so this is the same shit they did with Joel, right? Like Joel Embiid, his rookie year, he played like prolific level basketball for like 40 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had I want to say it was the knee injury for the first time that stopped him from being able to play the rest of the season. You can make that argument because once again, that's a concept from Major League Baseball, right? Like dudes will be like, I've played in the Major League, I've played at least 10 games in the majors for 4 years straight, and I'm still a rookie. You know, like it's all
Yeah.
about service time and everything. But yeah, shout out to Ja, man. By the way, did you see the shoes that he wore?
No, I haven't.
It's Jordan ones, and they're the color, the scheme is called Rookie of the Year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Really quickly, while we're talking shoes, this is a stretch. You remember Mike that we interviewed a
yeah.
couple
Mike
weeks ago?
Sykes, Michael
He
Sykes.
so he got retweeted and had a conversation with Chrissy Teigen. I don't know if you saw that, but she retweeted what something that he put out, and
My guy Mike.
I was like, hell yeah, dude, hell
By the way,
fucking yeah.
Chrissy's pregnant again.
I know
So
she is. She's
I'm
gonna
sure
pop out
she's
another mutant child that looks exactly like both of them. Not, and by
which
mute, I'm
by the
not
way
saying mutant.
may
I'm
make
saying
them
that in a nice
may
way
make
because all their kids literally look like each of them.
right because if they both had the talents that both of their parents had.
Yeah, they're going places.
Yeah, I was gonna say the president of the United States of America here, ladies
yeah,
and gents.
it's just like it's crazy how some people can have kids and they don't look anything like either parent, you know. And then you've got Chrissy and John Legend having kids that like they're literally like the son
Photocopiers.
is literally like a photocopy of John Legend, and the daughter is literally a photocopy of Chrissy Teigen. It's fucking great.
That's those elite level genes when you have a supermodel mom and an elite level talented like musician husband
Yeah.
or dad.
All
So
right,
yeah.
Ashton, let's wrap up the show. We've got one thing left to do. This is UFC, our nickname picks. Where do we stand right now? I've forgotten what my record is. It 23-15? Is that what
So
it
we
is?
went to so we're gonna start off here. We went 2-3 last week.
Yeah. We don't have to mention the record last week. Yeah, everybody knows I didn't do as well as I normally do.
20-11 overall.
Okay.
So still pretty sizably ahead. If you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, the mantra, if you will, of this show is at the end of the show, we basically go through the UFC card of the week, right? UFC is the major fight league in the world right now. And we go through the card and we determine that we don't need to give you guys breakdowns and deep analysis of these fighters and their history and where they're coming from and what they do, right? What we do need to give you is an understanding of just how elite these fighters are by the one thing that connects them all, nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
Because the mantra for this show is having a dope nickname is 50% of the fight.
It is. 100% is. A good nickname will strike fear into the opponent. They'll make them think, why the fuck is this guy named what he is? And then some of them, they'll come in like Anthony Smith did last week. Anthony Smith with his Lionheart nickname and didn't really fight with the heart of a lion in that one. Kind of just he got dominated from the word go, even though there's some fans out there will say, well, Rocket didn't really do much either. He just kept him on the ground, but I mean, he did what he had to do to win. You know, it is.
Yeah, Anthony Smith is the epitome of a journeyman, and Rocket is the guy who's on the way up.
Yep.
And we saw the guy that Derek Brunson fought that was undefeated, that trained with Ronda Rousey. That was a similar situation. Journeyman fighter against like potential guy who could at some point possibly headline a pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
And this is the same thing, except this time the prospect won, and it's a tale as old as time in fighting. So Martin, we start off here. This one's on ESPN. They're fighting in the Apex Center, and people are still testing positive for COVID-19, by the way, for as much as Dana White loves to beat his chest about how his system is flawless and all kinds of shit like that. His fighters are still testing positive, and they're just like shuffling them out the door when that happens. Anyway, Martin, get your search browser up because you're gonna have to look some of these up. I didn't look them up before the fight.
Okay, I've
this should be quick. There's only 10 fights on this entire card, which means that it's gonna be pretty fast to watch as well. Because if 3 of these fights are a knockout in the first round, they're gonna have to tap dance a lot.
Well,
like
here's
that
the other
one
thing.
night
What
they
I'm
lost
looking,
fights.
the fight card that I'm looking at only has 3 on the main card.
Yeah, dude, I feel like that's the case. Is it starting with Viviana Araru and Montana De La Rosa as the main card?
I have it as Sijara Eubanks and Carol Rosa as the main card. Did that change?
Yeah, maybe. I think that's changed because what are you looking at? ESPN?
No, just the the Google search for a UFC card.
Yeah, you can't do
Oh,
that.
let me bring
I
up
think
the.
some people got moved around.
Okay.
Sorry. There's multiple sources. There's only one source that we trust on this show, and it is Sure Dog.
Okay, where?
You're gonna need your search engine open because some of these are in different languages. And as we learned last week, the translations can be off a little bit because we got one guy who was actually his translation was a warrior of God.
Yeah, if
He
I
had it as
that was
something
one
else.
thing I want. That is actually one thing I wanted to mention. So last week, we looked up his nickname and got the translation completely wrong. And we thought it. What was it like? Fever? Not fever. Like it was some weird like description of the word, and then it comes out that he's warrior of God, and so obviously I would have picked the
And
warrior
he
of God if
dominated
I.
that fight
Yeah,
too.
he fucking completely
He
shredded
beat
the other.
Coconut Bombs, which is really sad because that. By the way, the first round of that fight was really good.
Yeah. All right, so let's
So
get into it. So
hopefully you got the right card in front of you, and hopefully I have the right card in front of me because it's Alistair Overeem versus Augusto Sakai, who
yeah,
we'll talk about later. So we start here at the bottom, and we start off with what is possibly the biggest flub in nickname history here. This one's bad, Martin. He almost had it. It's Cole, the Coltrane Smith, instead of Cole, the Train Smith, or Cole, the nickname is Train Smith. So yeah, he messed it up by like reiterating that his first name is Cole.
Cole, the Coltrane Smith.
Yes, he
That's
looks
terrible. He looks like a
22. Looks
yeah.
like he's in
But
college.
we had a fight last week that looked like they had. I texted Ashton this.
Oh
One of the
yeah, they
fights
both look
last
like
week.
they're like 16.
Yeah, I was like, dude, these guys barely look old enough to like they barely look 18 or something, and then they put up the fight thing and they're both over 30. I was like, what the fuck? Oh man, that was a good one. But yeah, so all right, that's a bad nickname.
Cole, the Coltrane Smith. He's 7-1 overall. He's 1-1 in the UFC. So he's on this card because they need to find out if he's good or not. And if there's ever a sign of like you're about to get cut, is when you're 1-1 on a contract. So we'll see. This guy does not have a nickname. I will just say pretty dope name overall. Hunter Azure. I like that. 8-1, and he's a contender series guy. He was on the UFC contender series, which by the way, that's weird to me because the contender series and the Ultimate Fighter are coming back.
Yeah,
So that's like direct competition. Maybe the dudes who win the contender series get sent into the house. That makes a lot
that'd
of
be
sense.
cool.
And yeah, because at the end of the contenders, at the end of the house in Tough, the Ultimate Fighter, you end up fighting on a card for the contract. But more than one of those guys gets signed to a contract afterwards, especially since they've been on TV enough. Some of those people got a chance to interact with them. They're actually valuable to the system and the program and everything like that. This guy here, Bartzus the Butcher Folinsky. Fobinski. Yeah. 15-3, 8 TKOs, 2-1 after taking 3 years off from the game.
Hold on. How do you spell that? Or hold on.
Looks like we got a live one here.
Bartos.
It's the third fight. Bartos the Butcher Fobinski, which by the way sounds like a ancient conqueror.
Yeah.
He's Polish. He sounds like an ancient conqueror, like Mongol the Horde, or
Yeah, like Alexander the
Genghis Khan.
Great. Yeah,
Alexander the Great. Yeah, the Butcher seems like it's a name that's only reserved for people who've actually butchered people.
Hey, maybe he
This
does.
one you're gonna
maybe
need the
he
search
does.
engine one on. Andre Sergipano Muniz, Brazilian dude. So it's spelled Sergipano. He's 19-4, which is a great record, right? 12 submissions. So we know what this guy's about, right? Like we know what he's here for. We know what he does. He's also Brazilian, so the BJJ is about to be all over the place. The Clippers are absolutely dismantling the Denver Nuggets.
It's literally a person from where he's like the area of Brazil that he's from.
Oh, okay.
Sergipano. It's Sergipano, right?
Yes, Sergipano.
No, it's literally a person from Sergipe.
Okay.
I'm not saying that
yeah,
right.
that sucks. All right. So we're doing the nickname picks. I saw some people hopped into the chat. Hopped in on the stream. We're doing the nickname picks here, And so far, we've only got
One
one
good one.
decent one.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
This
I'm
card's a
sorry. I
struggle.
skipped a fight.
Did you?
Yeah, it is. It's only 10 fights, so if you want to do fewer picks, it makes perfect sense. Mark, by the way, this is back-to-back weeks where one of the UFC fighters has liked the
Yeah.
the graphic. What was it? The Iron Lady last weekend, who was one of the few picks that won last week.
Yep.
She was like one of the first fights or something like that. She liked the pick on Instagram. So
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
shout out to her. Marcos Bezao Rodrigo de Lima. The nickname is Pezao, so you gotta look that one up while you do that.
Peazo.
Pezao. Marcos Pezao
Peazo.
Rodrigo de Lima. That's gonna be fun for probably not Bruce Buffer because this is a fight night. 17-6, 12 TKOs. He swings for the fences, and I like it. I like it a lot. If you
Bigfoot.
guys have Bigfoot, what? Okay.
Pezao.
Yeah,
Yeah, it translates to Bigfoot.
Marcus Bigfoot Rodrigo de Lima
Yeah.
versus, this is a good one, Martin.
Okay.
Alexander King Kong Romanov.
Okay. So we got King Kong going up against Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Oh, the fight pickers had to have like.
There's well, guys, I feel like these names are trying to tell us something. Alexander King Kong Romanov, who is from Moscow, Russia, if I'm not correct on that one. There are no Dagestan fighters on this card, by the way.
Okay.
11-0. This is his first UFC fight. King Kong's first UFC fight. So good luck to him on that. Make that money, son. Get that $20,000.
Yep.
Thiago Moises does not have a nickname. He's 13-4 though. He is fighting.
Did we miss one?
No. Why?
Montana.
Oh, that's later. So we have a different order.
Okay, we got a different order.
Which, by the way, I'm telling you right now, the way we read the order on this card is not the order that they fight in. It's never been.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how to I think they change it up until like Friday, bro.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
It's listed one way because it'll be listed like 1, 2, 3, 4, and it never ends up going off that way. And then maybe it's because of all the changes and all kinds of stuff like that.
Okay.
But we got Thiago Moises versus Jalen the Tarantula Turner, 9-5.
Jalen the
9-5.
Tarantula. I like it. I think
Yeah,
someone may have had that before, though.
In the picture I saw, he's got crazy long arms. What's up?
I think so. Wasn't there another fighter that's known as the Tarantula?
No, you mean Durantula? Remember when we used to call Kevin Durant the Durantula? If somebody in the chat knows a famous, because remember we have rules to this where we don't pick if you take another famous fighter's nickname, you're disqualified. So if somebody can come up with the famous the Tarantula, hit us up in the chat. OSP is good. He's actually on this card a little bit later on. Thankfully, OSP has somehow recovered from COVID-19, which makes me think that he had a false positive which is great because that means that he didn't have to suffer through that. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, go to The Rock's Instagram. He actually talked about how his entire family and him caught COVID-19 from a family member. And the kids had it and he had it. Him and his wife said that they did not have a good time. The kids were like asymptomatic or whatever, or they had it and it just wasn't as severe. They had like sore throats and stuff like that. But The Rock talked about how it was not fun for him. And he talked about, of course, wellness and making sure you're eating foods that help boost your immune system in general, because right now that plus social distancing plus wearing a mask is our only defense against the disease that we don't have a cure for or a vaccine for or a treatment path for, right?
Yep.
Anyway,
let's move on.
Banfius says that Jalen the Tarantula Turner is really good, or he is good. So shout out to him. Kevin Quicksand Navidad.
Not bad.
He's 9-1. He's got 5 TKOs. He's on a 5-fight win streak, which is very difficult in MMA. Brian Boom Keller.
That's not. There's been plenty of booms.
I'm just saying, Kevin James fucked it up for all you guys who like the nickname Boom. Also, because here comes the boom. If you've never seen that comedy, it's about Kevin James becoming an MMA fighter, which ironically, apparently he's like a really good BJJ guy, practitioner. Like according to Joe Rogan, he's pretty good.
It's funny that you bring up Kevin James, because I got to give a shout out to one of my boys, Brian Brian Ruvault. He grew out his beard and mustache during quarantine. He decided to shave his beard and send a picture of him with just his mustache to the group chat. Not sure what he's expecting because we're a bunch of trolling motherfuckers in that thing. So I don't know what he was expecting. But literally the second I saw it, the first thing I thought of was he looked literally like Kevin James and Paul Blart Mall Cop. Like literally, he's got the same style head, like the square head with the mustache, and like, oh, dude, it was a good laugh. Shout out to Brian for being a good sport, for being made fun of for looking like he was copying Kevin James.
Yeah, and Kevin James, a very lovable comedian, apparently making a comeback at some point this upcoming year.
Really?
He's got like a new show or something.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, not like a stand-up special, but like a new show that he's working on. Which, by the way, I mean, like, why even come back when you do King of Queens? So
Okay.
Brian Boom Keller, who is 21-11, he's got 8 TKOs and 9 subs.
Not bad.
Yeah, and Bamfius is right. Joe Rogan is in Here Comes the Boom because Kevin James is one of his good friends.
Okay.
So get the search engine out on this one, Martin.
All right.
Michael, I feel like I know what this translates to. Domilador Pereira, which, by the way, Pereira is, Mike Pereira. Shout out to him. Former NFL ref turned ref consulted during NFL games. Mike Domilador Pereira. 21
Demolisher.
TK. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Mike the Demolisher Pereira, which sounds kind of like a cheesy old school MMA name. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, so apparently he's the one that's been getting demolished. Zelim Imadov is his opponent. He's 8-2 with 8 TKOs. He's got back-to-back losses in his first 2 UFC fights. First 2 UFC bouts. Not great.
Okay.
Not great. Moving on, we have 3 fights left on this card. That's how fast we went through it. By the way, Martin, we got to root for this young lady. She's from Fort Worth, Dallas extended.
Which one?
Fuck Dallas, but whatever. Fuck Dallas, but respectfully. Montana De La Rosa is from Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay. Does she have a nickname?
She's won 4 of her last 5 fights. She does not have a nickname.
Okay,
she's
good.
11-5, and her opponent has a nickname that is. You know what? I'm not gonna preface it. It's Viviana Vivi Arroyo.
Okay, so I'm glad we've gotten to this fight, Ashton, because as we all know, it's now September 3rd.
Oh no!
I don't
changing up his allegiances again.
No.
Simping, guys.
No, this is the thing. It's no simp September, so I can't simp for the rest of the month. I have to take a month off from simping. But if I was gonna simp Viviana Araujo, I would be all about that. I'm just gonna put it out there. I would be, right. Even if Vivi isn't the greatest nickname, it doesn't.
Do you follow these fighters on Instagram?
No, I normally do after the fact, after they come up. This one is just I'm literally looking at her picture on the little rundown here.
And side note, Martin for a long time was a Paige Van Zandt fan, simp, whatever you want to call it. And after she took her very unglorious end of her MMA career in the UFC, she is now signed on with bare knuckle fighting. And Martin doesn't fuck with that.
No, it's no September, so which is going to be hard because I don't know if you've seen next week's card, Ashton.
No, I don't look ahead, but I'm assuming I know who's on it.
It's
is Rachel Ostovich on it?
No, it's
okay. Which, by the way, there's your hint. Rachel Ostovich. Her husband was an MMA fighter. He was a UFC fighter too, and they got into an actual fist fight, and he beat her to the point where she jumped off her balcony to get away from him.
They actually just announced it, I believe, yesterday or the day before. Michelle Watterson is going to be fighting.
Oh yeah, the karate
hottie. How am I not going to simp for Michelle Watterson next week? I don't know, Aston. When I saw this come out and I knew that it was no simp September, I was literally sitting here like, how am I going to not simp for who is basically the top of the list in the UFC to simp for right now that Paige has left? I mean, we've got Valerie and Bella.
We got the number one. I just gave you the number one I just gave you the champion right here, man. Rachel Ostovich, especially if you're not into Amanda Nunes' vibe, Rachel Ostovich is right for you.
Okay, I'll have to wait and
Follow her
see.
on Twitter. She trains really hard, and she's also like a pretty good fighter. So
But yeah, Vivian Arajo, very pretty. Unfortunately, going up against a girl from Texas, and I'm not allowed to simp for you. Even though VV is your nickname, I'm gonna have to respectively not pick either of the fighters in this fight, Ashton.
I'm going to respect your agency and pass on picking you.
Yeah.
And now we get to the guy that Banfius mentioned earlier, Ovens OSP St. Preux, who was supposed to fight last week, but due to a positive COVID test, which could have been in his camp or could have been him, he was not available. They actually had to scratch him like the day of, I believe it was. 24-14 with 11 TKOs on his career. He is fighting another guy we can't root against, Martin. He does not have a nickname, and that's a big problem. Alonzo Minefield.
Oh, that's so many good. You could be Alonzo Grenade Minefield, or like, I don't. You got quite a few. You could be Alonzo Fields of Glory Minefield, dude. Come on, Alonzo.
The Demolition Man Minefield. That going. Alonzo is from Dallas, Texas. He's 9-1, and in his 9 wins, he's got 8 TKOs.
Okay, that's pretty good.
He's a big dude. He's crazy muscular.
But he's going up against OSP though, so that's good luck.
OSP,
I mean,
a legend.
You're the co-main event. What would you say? 8 fights? That's
8 TKOs in his 9 wins. He's 9-1.
It's hard to pick. OSP is one of those fighters for me, hard to pick against, even though he's got a few losses on his record. I like OSP style when he's inside the octagon. So
yeah, a lot of people harken this style to John Jones at one point.
Yeah.
He's just nowhere near as creative as John Jones is in there, man.
He's a poor man's John Jones.
Yeah, and at one point he did fight him. So
all right, let's wrap it up with the main event. I don't know how many nicknames are in it, but we're gonna pick it anyways.
There is one nickname in the main event.
All right. So that mean okay.
Both of these guys you should be familiar with. Augusto Sakai fought during one of the early quarantine cards. He's 15-1 in his career so far. He's got 11 TKOs. He's on a 6-fight win streak, Barton. That one loss, familiar name, Czech Congo.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good fighter. He lost off a split decision to Czech Congo. So not even like, he knocked him out or anything. Augusto is the guy who represents for all the out of shape dudes out there in the game. Because the dude clearly has fire in his hands, baby. He just don't look like an MMA
He just doesn't,
fighter.
not at all. And every fight he goes into, it looks like he's been eating at Burger King for the no offense to Burger King, but it looks like he's been eating some fast food leading up to the fight. But then he brings the hands.
Man, that's a guy I can support. That's a guy I can represent for
sure, 100%.
And his opponent, one of the deadliest heavyweights ever, Alistair, the Demolition Man, Overeem. By the way, I thought Alistair's nickname for a really long time was the Axe Murderer because he used to walk out. He used to do his walkouts with an axe. So I don't know where that came from. He did win a fight via an axe kick one time. So if you've never seen that, go check it out. But Alistair, the Demolition Man, Overeem, who is 40 years old, no longer allowed to juice like he used to in his youth. So he looks a little different. Is 46-18. When he came to the UFC, it was such a huge deal. And I remember all the stories I heard, one of them being, of course, the dude only eats horse meat. He doesn't eat cow meat. He eats horse meat because it's leaner. 46-18, 24 TKOs. He is a big product of Dutch boxing, is what I believe it is off the top. He's a really good kickboxer. He's 46-18 in his career. He's a tough dude to take down. 24 TKOs.
Yeah,
Alistair Overeem.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say he beat Walt Harris in the last time that he was in that fight. That was one of the more emotional fights that UFC's had in a while.
Man.
Obviously, Walt Harris coming back from his daughter and all that stuff, and it sucks to bring up. But
do we tell the story?
UFC, I mean, fight fans will know it, so we don't really have to tell the story.
It's horrifying.
Yeah, it's a terrible. It's one of those you don't really have to. If you don't know, go ahead and look it up. What Walt Harris went through before he fought Alistair Overeem, but. So if we're doing it by nicknames, technically, I have to pick Alistair, right? However,
Alistair.
Sorry, Alistar is a fucking League of Legends champion.
Alistar is way better. I'm not gonna lie. Like
um,
Alistar, bitch.
yeah.
Okay.
However, I can't. I don't. I'm not the biggest Overeem fan. Um,
I mean, you don't have to pick him. By the
I'm not
way,
going to. That's what I'm saying.
Banfius, he has Banfius in the chat. He has won a fight via axe kick, which is super rare.
Yeah, it's dude,
Ooh, tough, tough, tough.
if we're going by nicknames, I literally have to pick Overeem, but I'm going with Augusto. I'm sorry. Like
Okay, you pick Augusto Sakai.
this is one of those ones where I'm only picking it because of the main event. Because it's the main event card, I'm picking the fight. Nicknames are out of it. If they both had nicknames, then I would go for that. Then obviously I would have to pick. But I mean, Augusto could literally have any nickname, the unicorn, and I could probably pick him. But yeah, 15 1-1. He doesn't look like a fighter. He's going up against a guy that literally looks what people would draw
Really
as
does.
a UFC fighter.
Dude
So
looks like a goddamn superhero.
he looks like if you're watching like a show, he looks like a superhero sometimes when he walks out of there. I mean, looks I mean he's literally chiseled, Alistair
Yeah,
Overeem. Where
when he first showed up, he was in a different category.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
some
So
shady
it's
stuff.
two totally different styles. Alistar is all about the being in shape. Augusto just likes to punch people. Give me Augusto. Hopefully it's a good card, short card. But we're gonna go Augusto Sakai. That's gonna really wrap it up here, Ashton. We had a great show. We went a little bit longer than we wanted to, but we also had your your fantasy football draft in there. Don't forget, folks, if you're into fantasy football and you want to do something a little bit different this season, go ahead and download the Thrive Fantasy app. Use the code BrokeBoy when you sign up. $20 down will get you $20 bonus back, so you'll get to go into the first weekend of sports with $40 in the bank. And if that's the case, you can get in some of these actions right here. The Chiefs and Texans, the first NFL Thursday game of the season, first actual game of the season. It's surprising.
Yeah.
Texans in prime time. I don't know how I feel about that one. $25 entry, 2,500 to first. NFL kickoff Sunday, also a $25 entry, 5,500 to first. And if you're only into touchdowns, don't care about the yards, only want to do props, because that's what thrives on. Literally, is propping up. Everyone gets in on the props. It's fun to follow that. It's fun to follow DFS, but Thrive does it a little bit differently. They put it out there. You make the decision. Do you think if it's touchdowns only, who do you think's gonna? Do you think Aaron Rodgers is gonna throw more than two? I haven't looked at the touchdown only props yet, but the regular props, if you think Aaron Rodgers is gonna put up more than 263 and a half total yards, you pick the over. If you think he's not gonna throw for 263 and a half yards, you go under. Dalvin Cook. Do you think he's going to have 77 and a half rushing yards against the Packers in week 1? Over under. Julio Jones, Ezekiel Elliott. It's hashtag prop up season. Thrive Fantasy on your app store or Google Play. When you download, add code BrokeBoy, $20 down will get you $20 back. Hashtag prop up.
Hey, Martin, before we head out, if you've been here with us in the show the entire time, you saw me draft my fantasy league, the Punishment League. We've been active as a league after the draft for like a couple hours, and I've already received my first trade offer.
Oh,
So
God.
I'll just read it off here. Julian Edelman, Baker Mayfield for Christian Kirk and N'Keal Harry. Let me go ahead here and decline that.
Yeah, that one. I don't know
It's
if people are
fucking
watching saw me
garbage.
make a face. I am like the trade master. I fucking love doing trades during the season. I can't. I
Yeah,
like.
Banfius, we're on the same page.
Yeah, no, that is. But hey, if anybody wants to join the Broke Boy Sports Podcast Fantasy Football League, we are drafting the Wednesday before the season kicks off. We are going to post a invite link or reach out to one of us, and we will get you in the league. We're hoping to get 12 people in. If we can get 12 people in, that'll be fucking perfect. If we get 10, it's all right. I'm fine with a 10-person league. We're filling up quick. I think we've got 3 spots left to fill, so pay attention to @BrokeBoySports on or broke. I can't. What's the Twitter handle for it, Ashton?
It's at Broke Boy Pod.
Broke Boy Pod on Twitter,
Yeah.
or at follow Ashton FB _playbook. You can follow me at Martin Pape _ on Twitter. We'll be putting the invitations out there. We'll be letting you know how to get involved. If you think you have what it takes to beat Ashton myself or the other listeners of the podcast, go ahead and reach out. We look forward to challenging you and beating you. We're going to have to figure out what the loser is going to get. Ashton and I are going to have a little personal bet between the two of us in this league. I'm looking forward to it. Ashton, you want to mention anything else?
Yo, man, make sure you. I'm supposed to be making an Instagram for the podcast, but I haven't done that yet. But make sure you listen to us. You can listen to us on pretty much every on every major platform. Like we're even on this podcast platform that's specifically for India. We are on Google Play, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. As of now, look up Broke Boy Sports Podcast. We are on iHeartRadio, on Podchaser, on Deezer. We are everywhere you can check us out. Subscribe to us on Twitch. Look up Broke Boy Sports on Twitch and subscribe to our channel. Check out all the replays after the show is over on YouTube at Broke Boy Sports. Martin is in charge of that. He uploads it as soon as possible. It takes a lot to download all the video and all that jazz like that. That's pretty much all I got. Follow us on Twitter and stuff like that, man. We getting ready for the football season. We didn't do a football preview because like who really wants to sit here and talk about like what could happen in football instead
We
of like,
haven't seen any preseason, so we technically can't. We can't break really. All we can break down is what the reporters at these practices are putting out there, and these people are paid. Some of them are paid by the team to put these things out there. So, I mean, you gotta wade through a little bit of the bullshit to get to the real stuff. And yeah,
all right, man, we out. It's only one thing left to say. Stay home, Roger.